Good morning, traders out there. How we doing? Who's ready to get it started? It's another week here, and I'm excited to take a look at what's going to happen. It's an action-packed week. We're talking big tech earnings plus FOMC. And to make things even better, well, a whole bunch of trade deals, right? Well, we just got a recent one right now, EU going through. We'll talk more about it during the show, but stocks are spiking higher right now. We'll be trading, of course, some momentum names, looking at AMD, SOFI, Tesla really getting started. And we'll look around, right? There's a lot to talk about. And this week, big boys reporting, of course. We got Apple on the docket, and we'll be looking more into the reports that happened last week. And we'll see how the stock reaction happens, as it seems like potentially a China trade deal could be near. Well, it's all this week, guys. Smash the like. We'll get things started. We'll get to the playbook action. We can first thing start off with just an overall look into the market. Let's take a look at the market action, see how the stocks are trading right now, and you guys will know why. I feel today might actually be a red day. Ooh, Money Mitch with a little bit of a call. Let's take a look on why. All right, well, if we take a look here at the SPY action, of course, we are way higher, guys. We've been on a little bit of a breakout city. And I talked about when we were in this consolidation, as long as we stayed consolidating sideways, we were looking good for an upside break. Now we've gotten that upside break, and we've also gotten a trend line to look out for. So this trend line is one thing that I think might come into play today, and I'll be watching for that to happen. Of course, another thing that happened is we started to get a higher low trend. Higher low trends also tell us that the stock is really holding on pullbacks. And so this is the overall market. So it tells us that even when stocks are getting pulled back right now, they're getting bought. So what do we need to see first? Well, we need to see that trend change, right? Show us versus us guess it. And that's what I'm going to be watching for today. I just have this on the radar, right? I'm not guaranteeing that we're getting a breakdown, but it's something that I'm looking at here. Why? Because the orange line, you see the orange line, this is the Bollinger Band. We pushed now from a what? From a middle line, right? The middle line runs right in the middle of the Bollinger Band, now to an expansion above the Bollinger Band and actually pulling the Bollinger Band higher. Can we extend higher from this? Yes, we can. But like I talked about when we were reaching 600, we could maybe go to 650 first and then start to turn around. Right now, we're on breakout city, guys. And a breakout city, what you got to look for is a new trend to change. So the first thing is going to be a higher low. And if you look here, look how far the lows are, right? Well, you need to see that we're ways away from that 634. Do we pull back to the trend line? Maybe 635, 637 today? Or do we expand away and keep going, then eventually pull back? But at some point, we're going to get a pullback, right? A lot of people were calling for pullbacks last week, but I'm really looking at the RSI also. Remember, I drew this and we were looking to see if it helped the expansion higher, right? Now we're actually getting towards points where we have gotten oversold before, overbought before, right? So up here above the 80 range is really where the SPY gets to that overbought range. And a lot of times we do get down action right after that, right? So we're looking for that kind of final pizzazz, final move. Maybe it starts right now where it starts to turn around, or we still got a little bit more and then we start to turn around, but we're definitely getting near there. We're not extremely overbought, so it doesn't have to happen today, but the Bollinger Band tells me to watch out for potential red day coming in. All right, we'll see what happens with the SPY, but there's both actions on there, and I'll be talking about different plays that we can get into in this morning's playbook. Let's get to the playbook and start it off. All right, guys, on the playbook, we can take a look at the VXX, of course, and this is kind of your VIX shot, right? I'm looking at potentially recovering 42 today and then going higher. So what I will be doing is not overreacting on a first breakout, let's say above 4150, because I think that's almost a given here. I think we're going to get some type of action down, and then we could get a little bit of a spike. What I'm really looking to see is, do we get a trend change? Because of course the VIX is down below 15. It's down near the lows again. And seasonality tells us that it happens often where we get a spike going into August and September. If you look here, back in time. We've done this in the past, right? And I can show you guys different Septembers before. And this is what you got to do. You got to look at seasonality that comes into play also. Of course, our man from the Trader's Almanac, Jeffrey Hirsch, has this all written in there too. So if you guys don't look at the Trader Almanac for seasonality, I definitely recommend you do so. I need to bring on Jeffrey Hirsch to talk to you guys all about that. We'll do that near the end of the year. I'm sure they'll be working on 2026 already and ready to bring it out. But this tells me watch out for potential turnarounds, and we'll be looking to see if we can jump on that action. All right, another area to look at is potentially a long in oil, as oil has a tendency of, yes, going lower a lot of the times in the early summer months. But as we get to winter, that's usually when oil tends to spike. So if we take a look at this XLE, it's been kind of climbing, just stair-stepping back, and now can just look for a rip out. So let's look to see what happens with the XLE, or maybe you can look to see what happens in XOM, or it's maybe Chevron, right? And I think you got to continue to watch these, right? What's going to happen if all these rare earths are ripping, right? Will oil have its day also where it rips higher? I think this is something to watch for. I think I don't want to miss it, especially if the market turns. This could be an area where money rotates to. So keeping it on the radar, but of course, some oil conversation. And you guys in the chat, let me know what you guys think about some of these ideas. We can definitely take a look. And LiDAR, continuation play. Interesting. I was playing that on Friday, was hanging out there with the guys at Stock Trader Network, talking all a little bit about some trade to pull action. But yeah, a LiDAR definitely in play. Smoke tuna. Hey, get after it, guys, and definitely check out the Tuna Signal AI. If you guys want to check that out, tuna. Maybe throw up a link. We'll see if we get it through. What's up, Jay Angelo? It's good to see you this morning. It's good to see all you guys in the chat. Let's keep it going in the playbook. There's 2 plays right there, VIX and some oil action. And then, of course, to the upside, where can you look at? Well, there's tons of plays I can give you guys on the upside. We're going to go through one of them here, but I'll give you a couple. For the playbook, of course, I wrote APLD because I wrote this up last week up there, and I wasn't able to sell it because it didn't get towards my target, which was 12. Ended up breaking out of this break even, looking for this to spike again above 11s and get there towards the 12s. We'll see if this can get going, guys. It's not a bad looking trade, but it definitely needs some volume into the move. And I think that's what happened. We didn't get the volume needed to really push this thing. It needs to start trading up there towards, at least I would say a couple million shares, right? And I think that's what we need to look for. We need to look for a nice volume spike into like the 37 million, really start to get that spike in volume into the move will really show us that, hey, this breakout's here to stay. There's tons of names, of course, that continue to be strong. I brought AMD at 116, guys. 116 here on the stream, guys. And this thing is now 170 and getting towards my box, right? I love that this keeps the dates because I can always show you guys that. We drew this on June 25th, guys. June 25th is all the way back down here. So June 25th, right here on this day. So that's when we were starting to cross the 131 area, was looking to see if we'd get back up to there. So boom. Hey, what a move. Even from there, it's been a great move. We're talking what? 27% and into the box, 30%. From that 116, we can put it down here at that 116 up there towards that box. That's a 50% move. We're almost there on AMD. And what was it? It was a call on this long-term trend line. Created this long-term trend line when June 14th, when things were starting to change. And I could see that bottoming happen down here in the 514 area, was right here. Right here, as we started to bounce off of that level, we started to see that comeback, and the comeback has been strong. All right, we'll see what happens there in AMD. Let's keep it going. We'll take a look around to see where else we can make some money. And Brazil mentioned in the chat. We can look at a Brazilian ETF. What's the ETF here? I think it's the EWZ. So this isn't one that is a bad one to look at. Maybe this starts to come back. I mean, the weekly has a good look there. Just needs to get back there through this trend line. Back above 30 is where I think this starts to come back. So for Brazil, Let's get it back above 30. All right, what's up out there? How we doing? Guillermo. It's good to see you in the chat, man. All right, what's going on out there, traders? Let's keep it moving. We'll take a look around in the markets. Let's get to today's Sunrise Report to talk about what stocks are moving and why. Of course, we'll also talk about the trade deals that happened. Smash the like. Let's keep it going on the Sunrise Report. First up, of course, on the Sunrise Report, U.S. equity futures ticked higher, but came off sessions high early on Monday as Wall Street digested a new, of course, EU trade deal. As the art of the trade, Trump is definitely at it again, guys. Of course, everyone's braced for the busiest week earnings season this week, guys. It's going to be something else. We got to be seeing what happens. Tons of companies will be reporting. We'll get to some of those names coming up here. But of course, we'll also talk about the trade deal. The EU trade deal is now at 15%. And is the new kind of 30, right? So President Trump announced Sunday that the U.S. struck an agreement with the European Union to lower the tariffs to 15%, down from the proposed 30% on imported goods. While expected, the deal sparked modest market optimism. While sentiment is increasingly bullish, there is some hesitation about chasing stocks at record high off something's widely expected, wrote Adam Crisfall from Vital Knowledge. It's a mega week ahead, of course. We got tech earnings, Fed, inflation, and jobs data that will be coming. This is the most stacked week of the year for the markets, as you got tech titans, right? You got Meta reporting on Wednesday after the bell with Microsoft. Then on Thursday, we get Amazon and we get Apple. So it's going to be a crazy, hectic week, guys. We got to see what goes on here. Of course, some big boys reporting this week. And with that, it's going to be some action, guys. So, of course, you guys can see here, I'll bring in the calendar here so we can talk a little bit more about some of these names. But definitely tomorrow before the open, and we'll start to really kick things off. We get SOFI, PayPal, Spotify, and UPS and some others. Royal Caribbean will be an interesting one. Boeing will definitely be interesting. We'll see if that takes a hit right back down as it has been climbing higher. And that could also affect the XLI. So we'll see if maybe the XLI pulls back, right? And of course, we'll have some big names. Those are the big boys. Those are reporting after Wednesday. Tuesday, you got Visa, Starbucks, and some other names that will be interesting to talk about. Mara also after the close on Tuesday, as those crypto names have been hot. But of course, you guys can check out Earnings Hub. We have no affiliation with them, but I love the way they do this. This is a really good organized calendar. And really, when you think about it, they do it the right way. I like the ticker with the logo. It looks really great here. So if you want to check them out, this is just even the free version, just so you can get the calendar. They do some really good stuff, right? We'll talk a little bit more today or as we get closer towards these earnings previews, like on Tuesday or Wednesday, we can start going over Microsoft, how revenue has been estimate 15 times in the last 17 quarters. So what could we expect? Probably another beat, right? And things like this are very important to stay on top of. All right, guys, let's get back to the market action, back to the Sunrise Report. Let's take a look here at some stock-specific news. Let's get into the action here as investors, of course, are waiting to see what happens with the two-day FOMC meeting. That will come on Wednesday. No rate change expected. On Wednesday, we also get GDP. More data, guys. Thursday, PCE. And Friday, the jobs report. So it is going to be a hectic week. You got economic data, you got earnings, you got FOMC, you got it all. And so what happens is that this week can really turn the markets or even ramp it higher. One thing's for certain, the gas pedal seems like it's going to get hit. And the only question is, where do we continue? Do we continue to the upside or do we start to pull back here? I think this is a big week for the market and the market knows it. All right, we can get into some stock specific news out there. We can also take a look at some energy stocks. Many companies jumping, of course, off of the agreement, right? New Fortress Energy, Shenron Energy. I think that's a CNG. Let me get this one here. Schneider. Oh, CQ. No, it's this one. It's this one. LNG here, getting a nice little lift here. We'll see if this can continue. You can see that it lifted, but now it's all the way back, just like the way the market's looking, right? So this is the concern today, is that we started to move on the upside and now are starting to pull back, right? So we'll see how this one can continue. Can it get back there to the 250? Or was this kind of more of a sell the news, Yvette? Something to think about. All right, let's keep it going. Let's go to the defense stocks as those are starting to pop there. Let's go first one up, KOTS, Kratos Defense. That's getting the lift there towards the 62. We could take a look at a daily chart as this has just been a complete takeoff in this stock. Defensive names moving higher after the Trump said the EU would spend hundreds of billions on U.S. military equipment. So, of course, that's helping this stock and helping others like LMT. Lockheed Martin up this morning. I think this could fill the gap, and I think this is a really good gap fill to try to get after. So I don't like catching falling knives, but Lockheed Martin right here to maybe fill some of this gap just looks to me like something prime to get towards. So that's a good outlook. It's about $20 higher, $22 higher. So what can you risk? That's up to you. Maybe it's $2, maybe it's $10 there to the bottom here. We'll see if this can fill the gap. Not a bad looking gap fill to get after. RTX, of course, also another move that has been really hot. Came from a squat move where it kind of broke down and then got really back up to the upside. So there it is, continuing. And then, of course, you got LHX and others that are continuing higher. But this one doesn't look too bad. It's kind of holding in that 270. Gave you the fake out. Let's go. Let's see if it goes for the breakout towards the 280. Of course, Samsung deal, of course, is rocketing with Tesla's chip deal as Samsung is, of course, moving higher. Doesn't trade here on the New York Stock Exchange, but it's hitting a 10-month high after landing a 16.5 billion chip contract with Tesla. Of course, Elon Musk confirmed the deal on Sunday on X. So, of course, who is looking for a nice rip higher on Tesla on Friday? Your boy Money Mitch, guys. I was talking about it. I was looking for Tesla to get higher because it was down here. It was in the dumpster, and Trump made some good comments on Thursday. I even talked about this on Thursday with Tesla. So it just continued on Friday. It's almost gotten the gap fill. I think you could see maybe a little bit higher, but this could actually make it push higher, guys, because at this point, Trump is not really going against it. And every time that Trump hasn't gone against it, it's caught in life again. So I'll be watching for a move maybe back towards 340. And maybe it was at the last shakeout before the breakout. I think so, guys. I think we really watch for Tesla to continue the strength back through Friday's high, which was 323.63. We'll look to see if that gets going. Tesla, momentum stock. I'll be ready to trade it. On Friday, I was trading it with TSLA, of course. But hey, I got two good trades on this one. It actually helped me bounce back after I took a big beating on a penny stock. All right, let's keep going, guys. Let's take a look around. We'll keep watching in the Sunrise Report. Let's see what else is here to talk about, guys. Of course, it's an earnings avalanche incoming. Roughly 30% of the S&P 500 reports this week. Results in tech, consumer defense, and industrial names. We've talked about some of those names, but it's really interesting here. Another stat for you guys, 82% of companies reporting have been beating earnings expectation. Of course, this is according to FactSet, but I think it's really interesting. The bar was put down, and now companies are coming above the bar, which is keeping things looking better, right? Because that's what you can do. When things are looking negative like they were on the last quarter, right, towards April, well, they lowered the bar. And that lowering of the bar is helping them come in and setting that bar right back higher, right? So we'll see what happens there. That's going to do it for the Sunrise Report. We can take a look into the watch list. We'll take a look at stocks that have been moving in the last 5 days. Those high short stocks, haven't really been moving, so I might just delete this. This is not as concerning as it was. There was some names that have been hot, right? LIDR, some of the LIDAR plays really hot. I was talking about this on Friday. I tried to trade LIDR on Friday. I actually got stopped out just by a little bit. Then this thing actually did take off right here at this 278s. So we'll see what happens there on LIDAR. Can it get back up there? It's been a really strong name, but this whole space just got hot. And I'm also looking for lithium names to continue. Of course, last week was trading space to the upside and things like that. So we'll see if those names can stay hot. All right, guys, it's about 8:59. We'll continue looking into the watch list. Let's see what else has been doing really good on a 5-day price trend. A name that I brought you guys here really early into this push here, but as it pulled back, I talked about it's a good possibility for this to hold the trend line. We actually even drew the trend line there on the 17th, looking for it to hold. And then boom, Bloom Energy, right back to the upside and complete breakout city, guys. So this looks awesome now. Now I'd look for a pullback, let's say closer to 32 or 30 here. I can't just step up here at 35, but I can't blame you if you're looking for it. It's really extended. I just look for a pullback now, back into the Bollinger Bands, and then I'll look to get join the party. Back at the 9 EMA, right? But there's other plays to look at here. I talked about HIMS filling the gap, and I actually sold this trade, but it's almost there completely back up into that spot. I sold it because it was a good swing trade, made some good money last week. We'll look to see if it can continue and closing that gap. Of course, I drew this here on the 9th of June, looking 9th of July, looking for this to kind of get right back up there. And we're talking about right in this day. So that was way back here, right, guys? So that's when I actually was looking for this to do the gap fill. It kind of played around, right? And that's how it goes sometimes. It's not just going to be instantly, but once we got the reaction, you can see how the stock really reacted back almost to the 60. All right, that's HIMS, and we can keep looking at some other names. It's 901. We'll get to the show right now in just a second here. Grail is one name that's been coming back. Pony's been talked about often. It's just very speculative. I'm not the biggest fan of Pony. GEV showing a little bit of some slowdown. That's telling me a little bit of a sign of concern. I think we're due for some pullback in some areas, and you're going to see some rotations in other areas continue. This UUU, what a strong name, of course, with some lithium names that have been taking off. NNE, talked about 37, could be a nice breakout. I played it here through this 37 move and then eventually got stuffed a little bit. Then I didn't play it again through the 37, missed that 37 breakout, and now look at it. Had a nice little run, about 20% last week. We'll look to see if NNE can keep going. I got more here. That's only 12 names out of the 53 on my watch list. So if you want to find out more about my watch list and stay up with all the stocks, you got to do what? Stay right here, hit the like button, and of course, let's get things started. Let's get right to the show. Countdown started. It's time for the trading action. Google wants 200, baby.
You ready to get back to the trading action?
You aim, you shoot, and make money.
It's going to be a great day. You guys know where you're at.
What up, what up, what up out there, guys? Let's get it started. Get that coffee going. Wake on up, and let's bring on Michael Noss. What's going on, man? How we doing?
Got the coffee. I'm good to go.
Got it. Stage one complete. Stage 2. Let's go make some money.
All fired up. Oh, no, it's another great time to be a bull. We've got
Oh yeah, I mean the hedgies,
all-time high.
The hedgies. We got to talk about the hedgies. I know you're going to talk about it. It's Hedgie Monday.
And for sure, because the positioning just has me just still pulled up because
boggled, right? I mean, what's going on out there? Let's fill them in first. So what showed up this week?
Sure. Let me just grab. I'm just going to grab a
Yeah, we'll
screenshot.
bring that up. I just thought
I
it was
got
a
it
good
here.
conversation to start with.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of the conversations that you brought up all along this journey, right? And I think it's an important one to keep up. Now, I do have a caveat to play on why I think the market's being able to continue going higher with this data. But let's talk about the data first. What is it showing us?
Well, so we always look at, again, the green line is your hedge funds, your mutual funds, your pension funds, right? The large institutions and how long versus short they are. And then the blue line is the small retail trader. So it's actually funny that the small retail trader is usually considered the dumb money, but they load it up right at the bottom. So this is April right here. And they've actually been peeling some off. They've been taking some profits. People have been selling some, and this is on the ES 500. So they've been taking their profits, and good for them. However, the green line here, which is large institutions, they've been shorting the whole time. They didn't really do anything last week. So this little sideways bar is last week. Not really much movement. So they didn't cover any. They didn't short more. They're kind of still hanging out in this zone right here. So they are once again wrong because they didn't cover enough. They bull out. And like I've been saying the whole way up until this line flips and they're long again, I'm going to continue to remain bullish because they're getting creamed here. And if you look at it across the spectrum too, they're still short Bitcoin. They're still short IWM, but at least they're not getting creamed there. Short a bunch of energy names, which is interesting with the gap up that we're having in energy. That a lot of large institutions are short crude. That seems to be having a bad time for them. A lot of these different energy names. So yeah, again, and always you can go to just type in or Google bar chart commitment of traders. They have it all right there for free. You can go through all of it. But yeah, they didn't do anything last week. They didn't short or they didn't cover. But if we go into a daily chart here, you can see that was the wrong move. They definitely probably should have covered some because at least for now, we're gapping up pretty okay. And I wouldn't say big, but we're gapping up pretty okay this morning.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I mean, what could really be going on underneath the hood, right? And that's what I'm asking because I don't think they're just short for no reason. I think they have to be expecting something, right? And I think that's the one thing that like is keeping me at least like interested, right? And then I read a post this morning, and I'm not gonna act like it came from myself, but I thought it was really interesting the way it was written. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Just give me a second, right quick, guys. I'll get
Yeah,
it up.
in the meantime, right? The thing is, historically, these guys are wrong. So this isn't
Yeah,
new. They're
100%.
usually the most bullish at the top, the most bearish in the bottom. You can see the same thing. Another thing I do on the weekend is the AAII investor sentiment,
Yep.
where this is less important to me because surveys you can say whatever you want, right? The commitment of trader data is you cannot say anything about because it's actual like reported data. Like if you don't report this, you're doing some sort of like tax fraud and you will go to jail. But like surveys, I think they're okay. They're okay to look at. So here's the sentiment survey, still kind of split down the middle. And again, sentiment really only matters when it's really, really bearish. I don't even care when sentiment's really, really bullish because the beauty of this is none of this is new data. So you can go back in the COT report and say, okay, at turning points, are these guys right or are they wrong? They're pretty much always wrong. Like almost exclusively always wrong. Now the difference that I keep pointing out is so is the small investor. Usually that blue line, the average small investor, they're usually wrong too. This is why I keep giving them shout outs because for the first time ever, we had big hedge funds and institutions shorting down here, and then you had the little guy buying, and now you have the little guy selling some up here, and you have large institutions just not covering yet. But they're going to have to at some point if we keep going higher, right? Doesn't matter if you're the biggest hedge fund in the world or you're the smallest guy out there. The margin call comes for you just the same.
That is true. Let's talk a little bit more about this tweet there that I got here, and it came from Christian Fromhertz. You guys can definitely give him a good follow. He's a good friend of mine. He's a really smart guy, and what I like about it, he's a trend trader. I'll give you guys that as his background, right? I think it's important to talk about that, right? So he's talking about here, of course, what we just talked about, right? Large speculators, hedge funds, most net short in over a year, right? And they're pushing, if anything, right? Like he says, this is also great for clicks. 100%, right? It is good for clicks, right? But I think this is the important part, right? Where he's giving you his review of what this data can actually do, right? He's saying that there's many types, of course, of hedge funds, many long individual stocks, alpha generating / short beta, SPY and S&P futures. So large S&P futures positions, short positions could mean that they have large long positions in stocks. And I think that this is what's really going on underneath the hood. I don't think that they're just caught by complete surprise. I think they expect a sell-off near probably some point down the line, but I think they're also playing some like kind of alpha here and just riding on momentum names that are just kind of completely booming and being more concentrated and making money in those names and then just keeping themselves hedged. Now the question would be, of course, and I'm with that conversation, is why be hedged, right? Those are the things to be thinking about, right? So what does it make sense to have
if you're hedged, you're still wrong right now, right? If you're hedged, you're underinvested.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I think that, it would mean that you're underinvested completely, right? You're not trying to get the most juice out of the market, right? Because you would be long the market and long these stocks. Then, of course, we know how that works out. But of course, I think that what's important, I think, to tell our viewers, of course, is that August tends to be a weaker seasonal month with the VIX also tendency to get spiked. Right now, the VIX is pretty cheap. So protection is pretty cheap. So we have to keep on watch to see how that open interest kind of changes in the next week or so to see if some traders are buying more and more protection here.
They're not.
The
so
VIX.
So I've got the chart and just switch back quickly because I read ahead a little bit.
By all means, let's go.
So this is the call put ratio, right? And the idea. So for those who don't know, right, this is the amount of people who are buying calls versus buying put. And you do that as a ratio because it normalizes some things. The idea is that because most people are wrong, that they will buy puts at the worst time. The example is, you have a hurricane that blows through, and the moment it leaves, you buy insurance. Like that's stupid. You should have bought insurance first, and then you would have been okay and it happens the same, right? You can go back and look at this over time. You can study it. When the market's near its lows, you get the put ratio spiking. People are buying insurance again because they're wrong most of the time. They're going to buy insurance at the worst possible time, they bought insurance at the worst possible time right here again. And then the put ratio actually spiked again, which was really interesting as we approach new all-time highs. So I don't know what news event they were worried about here, but we are right in the middle of the range right now. So equal amount, normal amount, call and puts. Nobody's buying protection here. Everybody's short the market. It's just not one of those things that people are taking advantage of, because you're right. If you're smart, you're not, and you just go to the VIX.
Just buying some protection right now, if you're like overall super long, wouldn't make the worst decision. At least I think.
Right. And it's one of those, when you're buying, it's not only that they're wrong on timing, they're also going to get killed on volatility. Because if you're buying puts when the market's up here, those puts are insanely expensive. You're spending double, triple, quadruple on your insurance when it's up here that you're spending down here. And you notice that nobody's really buying puts. No one's buying protection at this level. So if you wanted to make an argument that they're always wrong, then it's actually pretty interesting. If you look at this indicator, it's actually a pretty interesting indicator to keep an eye on, because quite often when it's red, that means that complacency is the best way to put it. Where when the indicator is red, it means that nobody's buying. We're right in the middle right now, but when it's red, it means nobody's buying protection. Everybody's buying calls. Everyone's bulled up on calls. And you see that often occurs somewhat near tops or at least consolidation zones in which those options will degrade. And then at the bottom, when everybody's buying puts and volatility is huge, then quite often that's a turning point. So we are neither, right? So like right here, for example, you see it highlights in red saying, hey, nobody was bearish here. There's not a single person that was bearish in this area. So maybe it's time to take a little bit off the table there. You can see we don't have that yet either. There's nothing here really here that's screaming people are getting a little bit too complacent. They're right in the middle. The normal amount of people are buying protection here. So yeah, I just think they're dead wrong, and it gets really, really hard. And we know this personally. If you've ever traded, and everyone in this room, I'm sure, traded, when you should have bought anywhere near here, you should have bought anywhere in this zone. It gets really hard to start buying up here. Like, it's really hard to pull the trigger after this huge moves happen. And I think that's what's happening, because they haven't gotten any really more short, but they also haven't covered. So I think it's this kind of deer in the headlights style look. They're waiting for some pullback. So if I were to just, tinfoil hat on and project out into the future, which obviously has no idea, is that the next big sell-off, which will happen at some point, there'll be some news event, no one knows what it is, but there'll be something, you're going to see that big negative news event get bought up dramatically, and you're going to get all the people who think news moves the market going, what's going on, why are we bouncing off this horrible news, whatever it ends up being. And then you'll see that green line tick up at the end of the week. And that's when they covered all of their short positions, is they're waiting for some down event. Because you got to remember, we're not talking about one or two guys are short. This is the net of every large speculator participating in the US market in the most liquid asset in the world, which is the S&P 500. So
yeah, that's where I don't
right?
understand it. At least I just don't understand it.
They're wrong.
I don't know how they can stay wrong this long. Right. I can understand how they could stay wrong, but for this long is a whole nother question, right? There's one thing being wrong for like a week. There's a whole nother thing when you're wrong for months, right? Because the boss's door is not far. Let's be honest.
And that's the thing, is these your bosses are billionaires too, right? Because if you're the hedge fund manager, your boss is your investors, and these guys, we all know
they just look at the numbers, right? And if the account keeps coming down, they're gonna come calling.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And ask you, well, what the hell's going on here? It's been months. And more trade deals, tariffs are supposedly ending this week, at least. And no more deals after this week, right? So
and that's where epic short squeezes can happen, because if you think about it, so a hedge fund is set up where it has a whole bunch of investors, right? And that's where their money comes from. If you have $1 billion under management, you have $1 billion of other people money. If you are even underperforming, let's say they're not net short, but let's say they are hedged, which being hedged in a screaming bull market is almost as bad, means they're dramatically underperforming the S&P 500. If I'm the investor, I'm looking at this, I'm saying, why the hell wouldn't I just put my money in the SPY? So what they'll do is they will start to redeem, right? Which means pull their money out of the fund. Well, the fund has to liquidate positions when someone redeems, and that fund has to liquidate, in this case, short S&P 500 futures. So we saw this a lot in 2008. This is actually what caused a lot of the collapse in 2008, was you had a lot of these hedge funds that were leveraged up on all these real estate derivative securities. And when investors got nervous and they started to pull their money out of these funds, they had to kind of fire sale these securities and just sell them, completely on the cheap for pennies on the dollar. And that could be what's happening here in reverse, because if I have $1 billion with you and the market's screaming higher and you're hedged and barely making any money, or net short and losing money, I'm taking my money. I'm going to the smart hedge fund manager down the road who was buying this whole way up. Or I'm even just going to give it to my cousin who's been buying, right, fart dog, whatever coin, and making millions of dollars. But pulling their money out of these legacy institutions mean that these guys are going to have to settle these positions. And when you're short, settling your position means buying. So again, I think, until that line switches, I'm in the camp that just every dip that comes along, I'm buying. So far, it's been a great year. This was a rough first part of the year, but it's been a great year after that.
All right, we'll see if we can continue the climb. Of course, markets were spiking higher, then starting to fade back a little bit here. So we'll see if we can continue at least a daily action. A little part of me inclining towards more of a little bit of a pullback setup here, but there's some stocks that are still hot. So I don't think it's going to be all stocks that pull back. There could be just certain areas. Another thing to think about, of course, like I've mentioned, guys, that China deal is coming soon, guys. I know that a lot of people weren't talking about it last week, and I think there's a reason why, because some people were positioning for it and now making the money off of it, right? And so what are you seeing more talks today? of course, China talk deal, right? And like I said, people make money for a reason, guys. Sometimes when they don't talk about it, that's a sign within itself. If they're not talking about it, probably larger positions are on it. And that's why you'll see some people go on CNBC and pout their chest for certain stock trades because they got very little on it. But they're not pouting their chest on CNBC ahead of it if they're taking a bigger trade. They're probably just quiet and trying to make the money, right? So China, we talked about the FXI looking a lot better. Now you look at it and it's kind of hard to chase, right? That's the thing, right? In 1 week, it can change, right? And I think that that's what happened. Now we're starting to kind of really lift. I think we look for also tech stocks that have continued to move higher, that continue going higher. Take a look at AMD, right? Take a look at your NVIDIA. Those things are on rocket rides. And there's a big reason why. Export controls, the one thing that NVIDIA mentioned that was hurting their business, now could be possibly going away, right? Their China business could be coming back full online. And that alone would be a nice impact to the earnings that will make a nice little added bonus to the bottom line, right? So that's why I think you're starting to see these stocks really continue to rip. That's why I'd be even looking for a stock like KLAC. I talked about it last week that it could reverse that downside action and go right back to the upside, which is a major equipment stock maker in a lot of what's getting affected, right? So these semiconductor equipment and materials were a lot of what's part of the export controls, because the export controls are not just necessarily for the chips themselves. It's also for the stuff that you make the chips with, right? And so that was part of their control that was holding them back. Now I think you're going to start seeing more and more of these stocks lift off. KLAC, AMAT falls into that, right? Applied Material. You got your Lam Research. These stocks can definitely start to get hot. And if the deal goes through, I'd look for more action to come off of these. So, hey, this is how the market could go higher.
Yeah, and just looking at the market this morning, we have this is one of those times I don't think it's right to look at the SPY, right? If you're doing, especially I talk about this all the time on Sunday, kind of Monday, because you're just missing a lot of the action, right? So if you go, again, if you're in TradingView, you just type in SP 500 if you don't want to pay for the futures data, because you get the CFD data and it's going to be roughly the same thing. So this box that I kind of highlighted, this is all the overnight session. So we gapped up higher and then we've kind of consolidated the whole time and then sold off just a little bit. So I'm with Mitch that I think it could be a little bit of a pullback or at least a rest day, because we've got nothing on the economic calendar today. We got some stuff coming in tomorrow. No earnings that we care about today either. More of that coming in like tomorrow, Thursday, or Wednesday, Thursday. So
I always love the market likes to panic you before some fresh good data can come in, right? They like to put a little panic into the bulls, right? This is the perfect day to put panic on. And then next thing you know, you get some good earnings reports Tuesday, Thursday. And next thing you know, we're up through these levels, right? So it's going to be a tough week. That's another thing.
So I think the obvious point is, yes, yesterday's high, right? I think that's what we got to keep an eye on here in the SPY. That we are, right? Because not only is it yesterday's high, but they put in a little bit of a shelf there for us on Friday, right? Where it came up to that price and then just kind of hung out there for a little bit. So this zone, I think, is an important one. What's really interesting, if you look over here on the side, right, this number here is how much the different indices are gapping up and down. And you have the SPY up 0.1%, you got the Qs up 0.25%, but you have IWM of all things gapping up 0.5% and holding actually really strong, which again, this could be more of this rotation. It's just we've been seeing it. It's like one day is the everything day, and then the next day is large cap tech, and then the next day is just the little guys again. And this rotation just kind of continues to be carrying through. So we're above the pre-market low, where if you look at the SPY, right, we're right at pre-market lows. So showing some relative strength here in IWM. And for those who don't know, if IWM starts being the move again, right, we've got TZA and TNA, which are something that I've traded a bunch in my youth, which are 3x IWM stocks. They're around $30. They're good ones to trade if you're one that's going to trade the small cap. It's just nobody's been doing that for years because small caps have been boring as hell. So yeah, keep an eye on what's happening here when it comes. We've got the Dow, being the worst, but that makes sense with what's happening in healthcare. If you go to the XLE, big gap up this morning, potentially above these prior highs right here, which it's been struggling for a long time. That's again the energy news that came out on the weekend. So that's an interesting price as well. I want to keep an eye on energy potentially going forward, because if you look at energy, hasn't done anything. It's 2022, hasn't done anything since 2022. If we're going to start getting going here and start getting interesting, energy might be a nice place to take a look.
I agree. I was literally as part of my playbook, XLE, man.
Yeah.
So there you have it. I think it's an important area to look at, especially if we're going to get a pullback today. It could be a good area to see it go higher, right? And so I was looking for rotation, maybe coming towards that energy area. Another thing is I think it's seasonality, right? Summer has a tendency of making oil prices come down. And the reason why people do that is because usually there's more people using gas. So you might as well bring the price down to even drive demand up higher. So people take these long road trips in summer because kids are off, and now that kids start going back to school, that slows down tendency of prices to come back up. So that's going to be something to watch for sure. I think that interesting areas. I'll tell you one thing: small caps are absolutely whacked out, man. Whacked the out, man. Look at this stock this morning. Look at vape.
Oh yes, I heard it. I saw this on Stocktwits this morning.
Hold the vapes out there, guys. What in the
like when you have
is
to
going on?
when you bring up the chart like this and you have to do this like 3 times in order to see the pre-market price.
The crazy part is I want to
it's
trade this
nuts.
thing, man, because I have this feeling, dude, the way that the stocks are right now, man.
$100, 120 end of the day. Sure,
It
why
can
not?
very much happen. Very much happen. A little part of me just wants a learning lesson on this thing. I'm looking for an undercut of 51 here, going towards like 48. I'll take a little shot there.
So hear me out. So we do vapes, but some crypto treasury vape company, and then right. That's if I'm the CEO of this company.
Yeah, right.
I'm waiting till like noon, and I'm saying let's just do a crypto treasury. Everyone else is doing it. Let's just do it, and then it $300 by the end of the day.
Dude,
And then you
it's absolute wacko.
It's just nuts. And this is I just read, the only thing I read was a little AI summary. This is like a Canadian vape company that bought another company or something like that. Like the news seemed very underwhelming.
Yeah, a little wacko there. We'll see what happens out there, guys. I mean, it's interesting. Ethereum up way higher too. This looks like a thing that could just fade all morning. It's fading pretty fast already. Crypto has been really hot. I think at some point we're going to see a little bit of a slowdown there. So watch out, man. Mara reports after the bell on Tuesday. You know how they love to stuff their investors. So,
that's a bad one. But no, I had a good conversation with a buddy of mine, Louis from All Star Crypto. So he's working with JC for a crypto thing, and he was pound the table on Ethereum a long time ago. Had a good trade there. He's thinking Solana over the next year or so could 10x from here. Get to the 1,000 mark, which would be just insane. So even if he's remotely correct, I want to keep an eye on. You could just obviously, if he's right, play Solana and make a lot of money, but that's going to be a lot for a lot of these meme coins. Some I know stable coins are going to start to launch soon using the Solana network to reduce fees and things like that. Right now, most of them are kind of Ethereum based. So it's going to be interesting. And I just love this chart where you have a huge, it's all the way up at 260. So if you even get to these prior highs, you've got huge resistance at that 260. So there's going to be a lot of people short that level. If you get through that 260, even if he's not 1,000 is way too far. He gets to 500 on Solana. That's still a pretty insane move from here. You're talking a triple from here. That would be, so imagine, a lot of these meme coins, if the thing they're built upon and priced upon triples, right? You could see 10, 20x's pretty easily. So keep an eye on that space.
Vape isn't the only one, Michael. There's tons. Look at I can run through some of these, man. It's impressive, man.
There's this
I will
seed,
say there's a
CEAD.
C, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a CELC. This stock, absolute wacko. This morning at 8 or Monday at like 6. What was that? What candle is that? 6 a.m. Oh, 8 a.m. Wow. 8
Phase
a.m.
3.
candle
Oh,
was
and
like,
that's actually good. I'm like reading the news now, and that's actually so they had a good result on a breast cancer drug. That seems to
yeah,
be, but
yeah.
yet
The
they're up yet
crazy part,
less
the crazy
than
part is
they.
this candle opened at like, I don't, how the hell did it open?
Oh wow,
You see the way that the price
yeah,
action is? That is absolute wacko.
that's crazy.
That is crazy talk for it to go down
MCVT, it's
like
another one.
what? Like it went down $12 and then ripped $42 after that. AIM is another one. AIM. I guess we're going back to the AIM chat.
Oh, there you go. Immunotech. Oh, this is one of those I
35
can
down
already
to
tell.
19. Like, holy crap. These things are pulling back ridiculous amount. And it's not, it's a lot, guys. I'm seeing tons of stocks up, 60, 100, 200%. So markets here, guys. 9:30 came that fast. Let's go trading. Let's see what we can do
Yeah,
today.
they say never short a dull market, right? That's one of my
Oh
favorite
yeah, that's
sayings in
for sure.
markets where when
Taking a
a
little bit
lot
of
of
that
this
vape.
this crazy movement.
I took a little bit of that vape right there, guys. In 20 shares there. Now break even on the rest. Gonna let it try to rip out. So I just let it rip out above me. Gonna put like $34 of risk there. Got in it really quickly out the gates here on vape. Looking for a quick halter. Ooh, it just came back and got me. It was $30. So I just did 20 shares like really quickly here. Looking for an undercut of 50, really. That's what I really would like. A wash first. But I could see the volume coming in immediately off of the 53s, 5,000 shares. Somebody stepped up to the plate there. And then I was like, all right, let's take the shot here. Here's 56.50s. It could go, man. That's why I'm willing to take like 20 shares at a time and just take little shots here because I think when it goes, it's going to be like halt 1, halt 2,
Oh yes,
that type of move. So
yes.
what I
There's no
really would
way that
want
thing
is the
moves normal.
washout. Let's see it halt down first. That would be nice too. So I don't leave that other question. My alert just went off right there, the 50 cut down. So this is where I think it could like start to get some like kind of deeper buyers. They're getting washed now, and I'm looking towards like the 44s, 45s as an area that it can really hold up here. If it holds here, I'll look for it to open around that area, undercut it, and rip higher. Interesting stock there. We'll see what happens with vape. Vape. I think it's halted there. There it is. Hold down. Hold down. So we'll see when it reopens. It'll be about 5 minutes, guys. I told you guys these things are gonna move today, man. These things are moving all around. And that AIM, it's just there's a lot, man. AIM, I think it's halted on the upside.
Yeah, they sure are, and we're getting some
Dash for
craziness
trash.
here on.
Dash for trash tells us that we're in the late innings of the bull run. That's why I'm a little concerned.
I am as bulled up as I've ever been. I love that. I love when things get overbought and all that.
Yeah,
It's
I don't like the dash for
overwhelming.
trash. I don't know about you, Michael, but I don't like to see that. The dash for trash is never really good. It's usually signs of toppings.
After Long Island blockchain, I think you had about another year to go before crypto really topped. So
We'll see what happens.
people were selling rocks, but no, right off the bat, we're getting the SPY coming in a little bit.
ETHU
IWM
ripping
is coming
down.
in a lot. So
This
we
looks
are
like
having a little bit of a chill here off the open, but we're not quite to Friday's high. We talked about this morning. That's where we have to watch.
energy ripping, guys, ripping. The call that we talked about, XLE, looking really good, man, out the gates. Whew. Just broke 88, looking strong there. So I'll look for a little bit of a pullback, but strong move out of the XLE today. MPC, some names like that doing really well here. That's leading the market. Everything else down out the gates here, guys. Technology just slightly green here. I think you watch technology to see if it can lead. Nvidia doing well there. That's what's helping the market at least hold up here. Meta also really taking lead there. So up 1% there. AMD also at 1%. So those three seems like some good leaders to keep eyes out today. Meta, Nvidia, and AMD in the tech space.
So here's an interesting kind of trade that I'm looking at. We're seeing that kind of undercut and rally right on the cues. So, you know, we had this pre-market level right here. We spiked down off the open, and now we're climbing back through VWAP. So that's going to be first kind of 1 minute close or so here over VWAP. I'm going to take just a little bit of a shot as I look to build out this new strategy. Because again, the idea is as many strategies as possible now that we're getting very close to automation, and do like a 2 times our risk. But we need to see that 1 minute close over. Now, remember, there's nothing anybody cares about today when it comes to any sort of economic whatever. Dallas Fed manufacturing is the only thing that's going on, and there's no real earnings. So I'm not really trusting the sell-off. I'm not really trusting the rip, just because, you know, tomorrow we've got more things going on. So watching very closely. Again, I'll express this with the TQQQ to get the leverage on it, but you know, I'll be looking at the cues obviously for the trade itself. Looks like it could trigger right here.
Seeing a lot of reversals in my watch list, and my watch list is a lot of momentum trades like the quantum names and stuff like that. So it's just not looking that good today, at least from my watch list. Pretty red.
All right, so I'm in there right at the pretty much the close of this candle right here.
Nice.
I'm just going to target 2 times my risk. Again, this is the part of the, because just like we did with the other VWAP fade strategy, right? We're looking to build this kind of undercut and rally. Part of that is trading it. You either paper trade it, you can buy a small account with Trade the Pool and trade it super small there. The beauty of it is if you're really onto something and you pass that account right away, great. You've got an account to play with. If not, you're out a couple bucks. The idea here is I don't know how to potentially take trades off of this when it comes to where to get out. So I think what I'll probably do is a 2 minute close just back under VWAP will probably be an absolute exit with a stop to the low of the day, and then probably just shoot for 2 times my risk, right? Just make it super simple. That way I can put out a target, I can put out my stop loss, I can just kind of watch it, and if we get that 2 minute close under VWAP, punch out. So the idea is, we talk about it all the time, so you basically want to get sellers that are trapped. So an undercut, and then you're just using VWAP as a trigger in, so you're not just randomly buying when you feel like you want to buy. You actually have a systematic way to buy and say, okay, let it get back through VWAP, and then I'll punch in.
SMR dropping fast, now down almost 4%. So a lot of the theme trades are really turning, guys. That tells me more and more, watch out for dumps.
Well, and could that be, right, if we're going to use energy like natural gas and oil, is that just bearish for nuclear, right? So as NLR, URA, uranium, which isn't really a speculative asset, but just uranium in general, the metal is starting to sell off here. And then you look at something like UNG, not really moving. So is it CL, oil?
I think
so we have oil ripping.
Yeah, I think that's an expected one. That's just seasonality. But I also feel like the momentum trade is falling here. And you're seeing it. You're seeing it in the tape. I mean, there's very few momentum names that are up.
Oh, my hymns. Oh, that's still holding. Good.
Yeah, hymns is still holding. I think it gets the gap. But after that, I don't know if it'll hold. But it's almost there. 61. We've kind of filled that gap completely.
All right, so here's another one. Keep an eye on here is Palantir, right? So big sell-off off the open. Made it back through VWAP. I could just get the same price right here, but yeah, the idea is pretty simple. And we're looking just to fade these opening insane moves that catch a lot of people.
There's Vape back above 50.
Vape. Yeah, so this would be another one to watch as well. And part of the reason I'm looking for these, I want to be able to trade these crazy ones. I just haven't found a strategy that works. So something like Vape may be interesting to put on the list. And again, I the idea is I'm not going to be trading these, of course, right? I will make a list in the morning the same way I do with everything and let them to trade. So what we would need to see happen here on vape is an undercut of this kind of pre-market range right here, and then a spike through. So I'm basically going to tell the
On that
system,
vape, guys.
nice. When I build this system, I'm going to say, okay, take the low anytime from 7:30 on to 9:30, and then we want to see an undercut of that low and then a pop right back through. This one
Halt.
didn't, but
Let's
yeah,
go. I'm
good.
in it in the halt. In
It's a
it
good
on the halt.
it's a good halt, right? That's the side of the halt you definitely want to be on for sure.
Yeah, talked about how when it comes on a downhole, a lot of times they can make that quick rip. So I did take that shot there. Seeing the VIX spike there also. So I'm looking for the VIX to spike above my levels, which is really towards 42s. But right now we're already climbing towards 4160. So I'm going to look for a quick sweep down in the VIX with the market going up, trying to trap as many participants as possible here. But we'll see what happens out there. Is BMNR a buy? Unfortunately, Mohammed, we can't give you that if it's a buy or sell, but we can tell you what we see on the tape there. I'm sure Michael will take a look at it.
There's no information to be gleaned from this price chart at all.
Yeah.
There are times that technical analysis are great, but when the stock is just doing this and it hasn't moved in ages, it's not the area to work at now. Not to kick a man while he's down, but right, if you're saying you're down big, that means a lack of a trading plan, sizing inappropriately, all that. So who knows, right? Could break out, could sell back into the 12s. I don't know. But it hasn't done anything in like 2-3 weeks. But make sure you're taking the time, if you're waiting for this to resolve one way or the other, to make sure you have a trading plan for the next time. Actually getting pretty good volume, and like 5 relative volume going on right now. So if we look at the intraday chart, it's moving a bit, but again, just hasn't done. You can't look at this chart and glean anything from
some Palantir. But PTLU.
PTLU, oh, the leverage guy.
Yeah, if anything, I'm going to short the leverage here because I'm expecting it to break down through the support. I'm going to go tight. This is on the swing account, so I'm only risking about $37 here for the 8270 spot. Could do a little bit above towards 8280s, but I'm not trying to push too much. It's $37, right? It should be kind of more of those. If it's going to dump, it's going to dump right here and dump fast. So I'm just trying to ride the momentum there. So I got a swing on and a day trade on. I want to focus on the day trade of vape. So I went with the swing trade here instead of going with another day trade, because then my eyes would be too focused on size, right? So sometimes with a swing trade, you can feel a little less pressured, right? And I think that's why you guys always hear Michael and I talk about how swing trading seems more for like I would say even the beginner trader, right? The more advanced traders go to the day trade side. That's what I think we would both agree with that. So if you're a beginner, maybe look into swing trading if you're struggling with day trading, right?
Yeah, it slows everything down, and it takes, right? With day trading, you have to be right, and you have to be right at a certain time. With swing trading, you just have to be right. It could take a little bit of time.
Right there at the 70 spot there on PLTU. That's a small stop out, 45 on the slippage, but we'll see if it comes right back down. Watching the VIX here. Remember, like I talked about, looking to see if we can get a move up in the SPY. The SPY hasn't moved up at all today.
Oh, the market isn't, and we talked about this, right? You got to look at the fact that there's nothing, right? I keep going back to the economic calendar because we got this Dallas Fed in an hour, but then
out there
nothing. So you got to understand that tomorrow, when you go to the economic calendar, we've got a bunch of numbers, not crazy numbers, but we got a handful of numbers as I scroll, right? We've got numbers in the morning for trade balance. We've got home or Case Shiller index. We've got job openings. We got a whole bunch of numbers tomorrow. And if you go to the earnings calendar, we have a whole bunch of earnings tomorrow. We got some of the big guys out there. There's tons of earnings this week, just not today. So again, I'm not trusting down moves. I'm not trusting up moves. Tomorrow, I expect if there is going to be a trend in the market, we'll see that tomorrow. So I wouldn't be shocked if we close flat flat today across the board when it comes to these different markets. So that's why I'm experimenting, right? You hear me talk about, right, my Q's trade, which I stopped out here because we closed under VWAP for a small loser, and my
XLE
PLTR
pullback.
experiment. I am, right, because step one is I need to build this indicator. So I'm doing that with Mr. GPT now, right? This one can exist in
Mr. GPT.
my account. I can also go over and I'll be sharing this with Mitch as I get him into that strategy.
Gotta name
And
him Nosbot, man. Nosbot. We gotta get a Nos alert.
Is this the one? I'm trying to find the message.
All right, looking at the XLE, guys. I might take a shot here on the pullback here. I'm looking for a little bit more. I'm going to take a little bit here at 87.80s. I'd like to see a little bit of a pullback further down towards 87.70s to add more, but we'll see what happens there.
Right, and I can, yeah, and it's so just to show you guys.
Look at vape, guys.
Vape open up big.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sold some right there at the top there. That's what I'm fucking talking about.
Nice.
Mind my language, but woo, I had to be smart there. It was about to halt, and I just sold half of the position right there.
Yeah.
So now I at least I can feel a little bit more comfortable. I sold some, got some cash, about 123. I can put break even on, stop, break even, just let it go. Right? Let it ride.
Yeah.
Let it ride, guys. And you guys saw me take a loss on this, then get back in. I think that's the most important thing for day traders to kind of learn. You got to be more than willing to take the trade. Okay, I was taking the breakout. Okay, got out. Boom, boom. Measured loss. It halted, opened up, did exactly what I wanted it to do, come near that bottoming area and rocket off of it. Then I just jumped in, right? And I jumped in with small size, only 20 shares first. Right before the halt, added 20 shares more. Now it's starting to rip, right? Sold some into the rip. Now we'll look for it to keep going.
Nice work. Nice work. Yeah, nothing. I've gotten one trade from the system. That's the COUR, Coursera. A little bit of a fade on this, a little bit of just an oversold type of bounce, but that's the only kind of real trade other than these experiments that I've been talking about today. Just short from pretty much right here, right in this kind of 13.25. And again, the idea is this is just a little bit too overdone with the crazy move it took in yesterday. So I had an ATR extension target. So if it got to that zone, that's where I'm going to take the trade. But again, we just had the one today. It's pretty slow.
Halt.
You know, sometimes we see huge amounts. Oh, just I'm talking. I bought a DYN.
Boom, 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 guys. Second halt there. 62.75 now. In from 51.67.
Nice.
Oh.
Yeah, this could do craziness. What, 175 is the high of the pre-market?
Dude, we talked about it. Like, this is the type of market where this stock actually makes sense. You have to ask yourself the environment. Does the stock match the environment? A lot of the times, if you can say yes, that makes it a higher conviction style play, right? So ask yourself what type of environment we're in. We're in that euphoria, stocks ripping. We saw stocks go from like $3 to $150. So when you see euphoria, you can ride it if you're in that euphoria type of market.
Mm-hmm.
Short you on a swing, guys. I got stopped out on the first one, but I'm shorted again just because the setup just seems to me like perfect on a day like today to get after this name. So
we are nearing a big resistance zone up here and have moved a long way to get there. So yeah, a little bit of a pullback seems warranted when you double all the way to hit resistance.
Yeah. And I think this one could drop like maybe about 936 today, maybe even back to 9. So get back to the 9 EMA. I'll ride it, right? I can use Friday's high, 1035 if I really want to, all the way up there to risk. So
we're taking a look at SSK, Osprey, Solana. So with any of these ETFs that are staking or dividend plays, or even if you're looking at double or leveraged, like if you're looking at ETHU, do your analysis on Ethereum, right? If you're looking at TNA, do your analysis on IWM. So this is the same kind of thing. This is Solana staking. So what they do is they buy Solana and then they stake it, so they get a little bit of an income from it as well. It's going to move with Solana. So don't even look at that ETF, look at Solana. If you are bullish Solana and Solana, you like this chart, and this chart is going to move higher, then that other chart is definitely going to move higher, right? But you can't do, it's like people who do technical analysis on the VIX, right? The VIX is a derivative product of the S&P 500, and doesn't make sense to do analysis on because it's simply an input or an output. So same thing. I would do, instead of looking at SSK, look at Solana and see what you think of this. Now, when it comes to Solana, full disclosure, I own a bunch and I'm bullish. I think it's a great looking chart. But yeah, make sure when you're doing something like this, you're looking at the underlying, right? Because it doesn't matter what this thing does, right? This thing only will react to the move of the underlying, depending, right? Because there's market makers that will keep those things in line. So
going to look for a trend line rejection for Ethereum. Ethereum's rejecting right back down. So I'm going to look for one more bounce to try to get back above 126 and fail. So Ethereum's trying to come right back down and wash. I can't jump into it right here because it's a dollar risk down, dollar reward. I hate those types of trades. So I'd rather wait to see if it try 126, fail there, then come back down. But also resistance zone, you have it clearly pointed out there, Michael. And that's another way. I'm also seeing MSTR drop today. SPY can't get up. Like something's going to need to change here if we're going to really kind of keep grinding.
Bitcoin just cannot get out of this little flag consolidation it's been in forever. It's just cannot. It's stuck between kind of 120 and 115 here, and it's just been kind of shorting back and forth. So the person who's asking about shorting Tesla, you're kind of picking the strongest on the street, and that worries me.
If anything,
personally.
I've been bullish, super bullish Tesla, guys, since Thursday. Remember, I talked about how the Trump made a good comment to Elon. And once that happened, what has happened to the stock? Sometimes you got to keep it simple to that, right? Like, don't think about all the left. Think about what has happened since that moment. That is that down gap used to wash out bulls, now riding back higher. As long as, in my eyes, Trump doesn't make a negative comment about Elon, remember, robotics are coming really soon for Tesla. So this could be used as a nice area to make bigger positions when everyone was like, oh no, but Trump's fighting Elon again.
Well, and I'm looking at this, just, the duck pattern, right? Or just cup and handle.
Duck.
This is getting really, really tight here. You're smack in the middle of the range. But for a day trade, again, the way I look at it is that, you've had the Qs do nothing and the SPY do nothing from the open. Just not a thing. We're not up. We're not down. IWM has had a bad time, but the SPY has just been doing nothing. And then you're saying, of the SPY components, I'm going to short the strongest one. That to me is just not the way I trade personally. If anything, I'd want to buy the strongest one. I'd want to short something that's been downtrending the entire day. To each their own. But just looking at this chart, this is one that I'm going to build, and I've got ChatGPT working here on the side. As I learn something about this setup by trading it myself, I just type a little bit note, and there's the code that it's kind of building out, or the idea that we're having. And the idea is that this is what I want to see happen, is an undercut of this kind of pre-market low right here, and then a rip back through VWAP. So overextended, maybe short little scalp, but you're inside a range on the long-term chart, and you're ripping so far today. So
all right, riding this vape, continuing, guys. It's up towards 62s. We'll look to see if it gets to 65s. I'm going to sell some into 65s. Tesla, though, strong.
Yeah.
LAC, I think it will probably take a little bit of a sideline. I've seen ALB take a sideline. It's makes sense for these to come for trend line approaches now. So a lot of times when you get a breakout above a trend line, look for what's called the throwback look, right? And I think that's exactly what you're going to see on all those lithium charts. Not one, you'll see it on multiple. That tells me more and more that the pattern is in play. So you look for short-term time frames to come back into play and then go higher, right? We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and just like we talked about with crypto, if you're going to do analysis on like a specialty crypto ETF, you should just do analysis on the crypto. And same with a lot of these stocks, they're going to
Yep.
move with the underlying price. Like if gold is tanking, you could be the greatest gold miner in the world, your stock's not going to rip. So I would always start your analysis with what you think of a lithium overall, and then you're trying to pick best of breed within that. But again, if lithium's
Yeah, best of
selling off,
breed, I would
then
definitely go with the higher names, but that you're talking about a speculative name with LAC there, but I can't blame you for going for it too.
yeah,
Higher names would be ALB and SQM, but they're both pulling back right now. Look at SQM's setup. I like the setup there for the throwback look. It could slightly undercut towards like 38 in the next 2 days and then recover right back, right? So
what worries me about something like LAC is when I click on it, I see zero revenue.
yes,
And
that's why it's a speculative name, and there's a
right,
reason why, right?
so
So that's why you got to go with the higher quality.
yeah, you're YOLOing at that point that they're going to find something that they can start at least making revenue off of, right? That's a big worry. Whereas, yeah, with this SQM, they're making, even though they missed earnings these last time, they're making $1 billion and they're making money. And it's, they have to, in this market, it's in 2020 when rates were zero, it was okay to not make a whole lot of money. When it comes to this market, I always want to focus. As someone who's not a fundamental analysis, my bar is if I'm holding you for any length of time, I either think you're going to make money in the near future or you're making money currently. Because
Yep.
if I can go to T-bills and I can yield 5%, why am I going to buy something that isn't going to make me any money in the near future? It's just not the rate environment for that. If rates come down, it's going to benefit these names. But
I'm gonna
we're
step up
seeing
in the XLE here, guys. Sorry to interrupt there. Just letting you guys know as I step up here. Stepped up there in the XLE. It's doing really well here. I'm looking for a cut through the 88 here. So I'll stay tight and I'll just look for the rip. If I get cut out, I'm gonna get back into this name. I'm just looking now for it to go above the 88. So I'm risking here 87.80s, and we'll look for it to kind of go right back to the upside there. It could undercut, make that undercut one more time and then rally. But if it undercuts there, what I'll look for is an undercut towards like 87.80s, re-enter in there with the same size. There it is, the cut. Watching for the cut above 88s. This is where this is one of my top plays of the day. I'm watching for the XLE back above the 88s.
yeah, that could be back through VWAP. That would be
Lit is one thing I wanted to mention too. That's another way you could play it, right?
yeah, let's oh yes. And for a lot of these things I like ETFs, right? Same reason,
ETFs.
I own a lot. I own SMR, but I own mostly NLR because it's just I'm not worried about being right about the theme, but then being wrong about the security. And lit would be the same way. If you just want to play the theme, you're gonna not get nearly as much juice as something else. But even if this ETF got back to highs, that's 100%. So that's a double your money. What else you want, right?
Here comes that undercut for the liquidity search here in XLE. Gonna look for it to liquidity search, hit down some bids here, then start coming back.
Well, that's an interesting chart. Talking here about Netflix. And yeah,
Netflix.
pulled all the way back to this breakout zone. Let's put in a couple candles there that are bullish in nature, just showing some green action, some buyers coming in the afternoon, and then pushing today and pushing right when the market, as we talked about, has done absolutely nothing from the open. This is the SPY from the open. So I like that. I like the look of just looking at strong names that have pretty decent looking daily charts that are not caring when the market goes down. So if we go to the heat map here, you can kind of see why we haven't done anything. There's a lot of gray, got a lot of red, we got a lot of green, some stuff's up, some stuff's down. We have AMD up 4%, right? Then you have CSCO down, 2.5%. So a lot of mixed action, which again makes sense knowing that we have earnings that are going to be interesting tomorrow. We have economic events that are going to be interesting tomorrow, and we don't have any of that today. So again, just make sure you've got your. Again, I'm not trusting the sell-off. I'm not trusting the rally. What I'm doing and what my bots are doing right there, fading both sides. I'm in one long that was selling off, and I'm in one short that was ripping. So,
all right, babe came and got me, guys, right at the bottom. That's you put your short, you get hit right at the bottom there. But Right on that tick there. Got out there on 51.76. It could come back through 52, 54s and 55s here. So watching it here to see if I do a re-entry there. Did take some gains at least 123. Was looking for this to get through 165s, but we'll see what happens now if it can get going.
All right.
Vapey vape. It could get going again here. The only thing though is it did go to 2 halts, then kind of stopped into the 3rd halt. So maybe the 3rd halt is a down halt. So get ready. It's going to do a halt. That's for sure. I feel like I'm just going to keep an eye on it to see if it reverses back. That's why I'm being patient with it. I think that's the important thing here too. Just being patient, not rushing back. Okay to get out. Let's focus in on the action. And also watching that the market is still not doing anything. Like it's just sitting there. SPY's trying to come back right now, guys. So watch to see if it can actually close above VWAP. We tapped VWAP once today and rejected it immediately. Watching for that action. Talked about how the VIX could get that down, quick sweep down, and then all of a sudden rise. That's the one thing I'm also looking for.
Absolutely. So I have to duck out just for a quick minute for a meeting, and then I'll get back to you if I've got the time.
Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Get on out of here. We'll see you in a little while if you're back. But like always, guys, keep up with Michael. We'll see you back, my friend. All right, guys. Money Mitch taking over here, guys. So let's have some vape fun. And let's hit that vape here one more time here at least. We're looking for it, guys. I'm also watching the VIX here to come down really quickly and then see if it can get the spike again. You see how the VIX vape went down below this 53, looking for it to get back above 55. VWAP is way above it, so you got to be a little bit careful. We can also take a look at the other names to see if any of those are doing well. Looking around, SMX doesn't look too bad. GIBO, that's a cheaper name. Looking for the ones that can actually move here. XLII is one that maybe could get a 4 break. This one doesn't look too bad here, right? Just to keep an eye out to see if this one breaks 4. We could set an alert on that. Vape starting to turn back around, trying to get back above this low here. So let's see if it can get off of this low and then start coming right back up. All right, 5280s, 53s could come into play right here. I'm willing to take a shot there. We're going to take 20 shares again here and see if it can just go again, guys. See if it can just go again. It's about $40 risk here towards 51.36. So that's where we're going to risk in just a second. We'll drop it. It's trying to spread and catch some traders right now. So a lot of times when you start to get entrants, the stock spreads there about $1, right? Why is it doing that? Well, it's trying to catch people that put out stops and widen out so they can grab you. You got to know that so that you can be around that and maybe not show your hands immediately and then get around that first little dip. That's what we got right there. Now I'm looking for the rip higher, because if not, it's probably going to drop really quickly here. So let's go ahead. Let's drop down the stop. We could get hunted because of this. And I talk about this all the time. You see how the spreads out there? It comes right to my stop and gets me. That's what I mean by putting out stops, guys. By putting out that stop, it literally hunted me. You guys saw it come right to it and then just get me out right there, right on the low, right on the low. And that's how it's going to happen a lot. Why? Because you're not the only one putting a stop there, right? So it's a location stop where everyone's on that same level. Got out there for $42 loss, still in the green on the day, but we'll see what happens here. Let's go to the VIX. I'm going to leave this alone. It could down halt here. Back through the 53s is the way to play vape. I'll just keep watching that trade here if it starts to come back. VXX, let's go to that. I'm watching that. XLE, looking for that to come back into play. I talked about 88 on the XLE. It's coming back into play there. I really like this pullback right above the 88 number. So I'm going long here, bigger on the XLE. I really like this trade here. So there it is, guys. I'm taking the shot on the XLE. I can even add a little bit more on this 88 break. So let's see if this can really get going. Doesn't look bad. I think it get to 88.17s and go higher here. So XLE, not a bad way to play some energy upside here. Talked about how it could bottom out. It did bottom out perfectly around that 87.80s. Now getting back above the 88s. Let's see if this really gets going. Still got the swing trade on out there and looking around out there, guys. So if you guys have a trade, let me know out there and we can definitely talk about it. All right, looking at that XLE trying to get back above that 85. So we'll look for that to kind of break out above that level and continue going there. Let's see if it can just push out here and just move. Let's see it. 86 now. I'm going to step up to the plate here, guys. Just added there, looking for a rip higher here. Let's see if it can start to move here. Now have 400 shares. Let's see if it really starts to break here. Taking out my alert there at the 88.17s, just looking for this to start rising there. Now we're getting the lift off. Let's go. XLE can look at XOM and trades like that for swing trades. I like Chevron here. I've been waiting to get a nice little trade in Chevron. So I like the trade setup here. It has a resistance 156, could break out above that 156. Has held the hourly pullback. So now it can just start to take the move here. We'll look to see if it goes higher through the VWAP, holds this move, and starts to reverse back to 156. No, doesn't look too bad there for a swing either. I could go for day trade. The only thing is that Chevron is pretty expensive. Chevron getting the lift there now, 155.20s. It's starting to lift off, so I'm probably not going to chase it here, but it's helping my trade on the XLE to go higher. So we could even step up to the plate there. We're up like 56 now, guys. So let's just let this ride out here. Riding that trade on the XLE tells me that the energy is going higher. That could mean the SPY goes lower in a little bit here. We'll see what happens, but energy really pushing today, and some of those stocks really taking lead. COP, ConocoPhillips, really nice move there. Let's take a look at the daily chart here, as this is a reversal from the bottom. Really looks good as it starts to break here. I don't mind this at all, especially if I can get a 96 pullback. That pulled back just recently to 96, caught that and got going here. So off the 97 pullback wouldn't be too bad here. Look at the XLE go here, now up 82 bucks here. Let's see if we can get above 100 and then of course just cash in. Then we can just pull back and maybe reload here. So just looking to see if we can get that push here. There's some selling there already. 67,000 shares just went through right near that 88. 48,600 shares just went through at 88.21. So I wasn't the only one looking for that 88 break. They jumped in there and sold there. So we'll see if this actually just continues going. But a big order just coming in there and going in on the sale. I'll show you this right here so that you guys can learn right here why it's important to catch those big orders. Look at this 48,600 order for XLE. So let's take a look here. XLE. And look at Chevron's action off of this. I just talked about Chevron that I wanted to get in it. Oh, look at that action there. Big, big up move in Chevron. Getting an alert here, guys. Vape right back up, guys. Vape right back up. Oh, I don't think I'll be able to catch it this time. Just got a little bit of it. 20 shares there, guys. We'll see what happens. Got to stay tight here. This one went down right off of my buy there. So looking for it to hold here where that breakout came from. Got to be a little bit careful here. I feel like I chased a little bit there on the entrance. Didn't get the best entrance this time. Talked about it, I wanted 53s. It got to 56 in an instant. So got to be careful here with vape. I'm going to go ahead and set it out here, 52.20s. It probably can get me here. I'd rather get out, get the hit. I know that I chased. I did this one wrong here. So it's okay to take the hit. I felt like that one. I just chased way too fast there, and it just jumped right when I market ordered. That was on my fault. Should have limit ordered in here. I think it'll just hit me and then get me out and then come back up here. But hey, if it hits me, so be it. Let's see what happens here on vape. If it gets back to break even, I might sell half just to look to try to reload some of it or be able to risk a little bit further down. Chevron just ripping there. So looking for the XLE to continue here. Definitely got in a little bit too high on that vape. Let's just say that much for sure. It's trying to get me out here. It's trying to spread out and grab me at the bottom there. I have a stop right underneath it, so I think I'm going to get hit here. Just more of a matter of let's see what happens if anyone's willing to step up here, take it back. Not much trading going through there on that vape. I think it's going to get me out right here. Slowed down a little bit on that recent rip. Back through the 52s should get me out. See if it gets right back up there to the 55s. Don't want to risk more than 80 on this one. So like it's really about trying to stay within the range, right? XLE pulling back a little bit there. We'll see what happens on the XLE. Was up a pretty good amount. The oil stocks were ripping. It's holding the 9 EMA right now. That's what I'm going to be watching for it to hold. Get right back up to that 88.25. Let's see if the XLE can just continue to break out. Looks like it's trying to do a cup and handle pattern. So as long as it can kind of hold in on this 9 EMA, get right back up there. Cup and handle is in play. What's up, Mitch? How we doing out there? I'm late. Did I miss all my tickers are red on my watch list? Yes, that's what I've been seeing. Momentum breakdown, at least from what I've been seeing on the tape here, guys. And I can show you guys that as some of these names are really breaking down. Let's go to the names that are getting hit the hardest on my watch list. NNE down 11%. Pony down big. Quantum names. I talked about this early. QBTS down big there. So watch out there, guys. Just continuing to watch my short on the swing. FLNC back to the VWAP, getting hit hard. Grail, LAC, Ouster, Applied Materials, Rigetti, ALB, QUBT. I talked about it. It could be a pullback type of day. Coin down almost 3%, not getting back to the VWAP. All these names taking really hard hits. I'm short this UUU, but looking for other names to continue taking the beating as we are seeing some big pullbacks today. And that can be a trade that can get ridden a little bit further there. There's vape now actually going into the green here. So as that starts to get to the green, we'll look to see if that can rip higher here. Now I got to set a little bit of a stop there, a little bit closer to see if this can, wow, this just spread out to 53.01. The spread's just ridiculous on this, guys. It's just went wide as 189 ticks. So just be careful with this, guys. I'm taking this trade as a learning lesson. I'm trying to trade these a little bit more. So part of it is being able to take these types of trades. So let's see if this can really get going here now. Really close to just taking off of this 56. We'll see what happens on this vape. It was crazy ride. I'm back in it. Let's see if it takes off. It's right there to take off. If it doesn't take off to 60 here, we probably won't be able to get it. There's the takeoff, guys. It looks great here. I might add a little bit, just add like 10 shares here. It looks like it's going to get into that halt. Let's see what happens. I took 10 shares more to take a little bit of a higher risk here. It did not halt there. Let's see if it really starts to push here. 59.46 right now. Looking for this to push. Let's see if this can push a little bit, really get going here. There's 59, almost 60, almost in the halt already. Let's see what happens, guys. This is a hard trade for sure. Taking vape live right here, guys. Let's see if it gets into that halt. There's the halt. It's halted, guys. 59.93. Back in another halt. 30 shares this time. Got as far as 40 shares on the last time. But smash the like, guys. We are getting after it in vape. Trying to make some cash. Trying to run away with that money bag today. Let's keep it going. You know where you're at. It's Trade the Pool, guys. What are you guys trading in the chat? Let me know what you guys are getting after. I'll be watching out there. But, hey, what's up with the SPY here? Let's take a look. SPY starting to reject. So VIX looking like it's on the radar here. Let's take a look. Swing trade in the VIX. That's what I want to really take, guys. And I want to step up to the plate now and see what happens here. So let's go. I'm going to go 400 shares on the VIX. That's pretty big for me. I'll take it right now and just risk here about, let's go $48 towards the low. 41.43 is the risk. Looking for the VXX to start taking off towards 42. The swing trade would work also on UUU to the downside here. So what I'm going to do is also, I don't want to lose on this UUU anymore. So I'm going to actually risk here just a small amount here, about 1023 if I need to on this UUU. But I'm not showing my hand on that trade. I don't have a stop place because if I do, I feel like it's going to come to really close here. So I'm looking for a breakdown here on UUU to keep coming down and start to really break down here. We'll look for it to just get right back down towards the $10 spot. This is one that I won't get pretty with it, but I'm taking the shots out there, guys. XLE, of course, I'll be watching to see what happens there. VIX pulling back just a slight bit right now. We'll see if we can get this to kind of make that breakout above here, and just looking for it to kind of get going here. It got a lot of volume at that 41.55, so some shares are coming in here. We could get a little bit of a liquidity surge, some ads coming in on this pullback, so just be careful out there. I think it's important to just be able to stop out and then get back in, especially on the VIX trade. So I will be willing to stop out at that 43 and then get back in it. Looking at the XLE, it did go to the 87.93s. I'm going to be adding to that XLE trade. I really like the setup. I really like the sell. I'm just looking for the 87.90s to kind of hold in here. I just added there, and I'm going to risk about 100 on this trade, 113. But let's see what happens there on XLE. I'm up 74 on vape, so I got to go focus on vape as it reopens in a little bit here. We'll see what happens. Taking a lot of trades right in front of you guys. You guys out there, smash the like. TSLA, talked about it. It's one of the best stocks. Tesla, and it could continue here. It's strong, guys. That could push higher. That could help the market come back. SPY is coming back, but the Qs are dropping a little bit here. Let's see what happens. So that could stop out my VIX trade here, and then it could go higher. So I'm okay with the stop out here, and then seeing it go higher. That's fine. You got to sometimes let it go for it to come back in here. A lot of volume coming in, though. I will say that 11,000 shares sell at 48. So someone got hit at 48s. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to probably get hit here at the 41s. I had 43s, but I brought it back to 41 here, trying to give it a penny or two here to see what's going to happen. Let's see what happens here, guys. It's a big moment here for these stocks. Also, XLE pulling back there. I did get a little bit more, taking a bigger shot there. TSLA, though, looks good if you're betting upside. And Tesla, I've talked about it. This could really be a bigger move that's starting to the upside. Almost a full gap fill. Gap fill, 327. That could be your play. Just got clicked there on the VIX there. That's how the VIX will get you, guys. So doesn't mean that I'm done on the VIX. It means that I'm going to put a stop on a break of a trend line move. So back above, let's say 41.60 is the move for me to get back in long on that trade, right? So just set it up. I'm going to set a stop. Boom. I'll set that stop there, and that means I don't got to watch this. I can just focus in on my other trade. All right, UUU might come back here and then reject once. So I'm watching UUU right now. Could come to VWAP and then reject here. Got to risk about 20 bucks on this name. I still might be down about 180 on the small account. Of course, that's $300 max. I'm trying to take multiple trades and keeps taking shots to the downside. There's vape opening up there. It's opening up really well here. I'm up about 120, but I could get pulled back into. So I'm going to put a stop break even here. Got to be careful for the break even, and that's okay. But I really need to put that out here because if it keeps going, it gives me a big rip, right? So I'm looking for that big rip. It's coming back down. Probably going to cut me out here. Wouldn't be bad if it cuts me out. It is what it is. Let's see what happens here. There it goes right back to the upside. So looking pretty good here. If it can take it out. Let's go back to 64s, 65s. Looking really good here. Now I can sell half of this. Let's sell 15 shares right now. Boom. Just sold some more. Took some money out. Now can leave stop pressed with the confidence that I took money. Right? Another 86 there in the green. Now let this work. I got 15 shares. Work, baby. Work. Good job there on vape. What a crazy trade here, guys. Let's see if this thing can really get going. It could really push here towards the 70s and really start to push higher. I'm going to use that $80 that I have to actually risk here and take a little bit of a risk on and use the shares that I made some money to give myself a little room here to see this really start to push. Let's go. Let's see if this could really push here. Was up about 200 there when I took some of the cash off here. Looking for this to keep running, but it could pull back fast. You got to watch it here. 60 is the pullback that could happen. I could see that 60 pullback fast and then higher. So there's higher push. 65, 66 showing up there. Could not get through there. Some buyers did step up. There's 69s. We're looking good for another halt here. So now with this move, I'm looking for a breakout. So I'm actually going to put about $100 stop loss here in a second. Just in case it pulls back, I take the $100 here. Looking good for that 70 break. I don't have the stop press. I'm just watching the price action here and watching the actual sells. So you see how the black dot, the 67.30, 69s now. Looking awesome here, guys. Looking like we're going to go into another halt. Let's see if we get that halt. Let's go. Let's go. Trading the most volatile name in the market today, right here, live in front of you guys. Boom. Halt is there. Let's go. Let's go. Sound that alarm. Money Mitch getting after vape. Another trade in the green there for vape. Let's go. That break even stop really helped me, guys, in the cash here and looking to push. You rejected really well there. So now I'm looking for the SPY to really come down here, guys. Looking for one more dip in the VIX and then the SPY to see if we'll come down there. We'll see what happens on that. XLE is also another bet that I'm watching closely. It's right there, guys. It just needs to take back up on this kind of flagging pattern. Up 1, down 1, up 2, down 2, up 3, down 3. Looking for this now to hold here and not really break down back below the 87, 88 level. That's going to give us a nice sign here that it wants to get going. So let's see it there. That's the 15-minute. Let's go to the 5-minute. You can see it a little closer, how you broke above it. You're trying to catch here on a throwback look and start to push back towards 88, but you know you're out on this name. For me, it's below the 87, 88 level here. So at least I know where I need to get out if needed. We'll see what happens here on XLE. No stop place here. Looking for a recovery of 88. The good thing about the XLE, it doesn't move that fast. You can keep an eye on it. Bull mentioned in the chat. Chase talking about Bull. Definitely, we can take a look at that. And you guys out there watching on X, you guys can actually drop a comment and take a look into a stock that if you guys want some perspective, just drop it in there. Click the stream and jump right in. You guys watching on YouTube, don't forget to smash that like so you guys can show us support as we continue to grow. Let's see if this can break the 88 and keep going higher. Looking for this to drive right back up there. VIX is starting to drive the guys, so I might get triggered in on my entrance with VIX. That can mean the SPY is coming down, and the SPY is coming down there, guys. So I'm getting triggered on my spot on my VIX there, and I'm gonna actually open a day trade on this. UVIX is the way that I can go with this. The UVIX. I'll try to get a little bit of UVIX here. Whew, that was a quick move in the SPY there. Oh, I don't have any buying power. I need my buying power. I need more money. We'll see what happens, guys. Just took a little bit there. 300 shares there. Just trying to risk off this little last bottoming action on the day trade. Got the stop already placed there. Entrance there in the VXX there on the swing action. I'm in on that one too. Going to go ahead and risk off the bottoming here. Can risk down there towards like 4130s. Risk about 88 here. And just look to see if this really goes. The SPY faked there a little bit there. It did come back down. So we'll see what happens. That was a quick move. I don't know if it was news related. It was quick down. Let's see what happens now. If it goes right back to the upside, hey, then you could just shake it, right? You can cut out. But let's see what happens here. I think this is an interesting look. VXX has that trend line. That's where I'm taking a bet on. And I'm risking below the price action now. Let's see if this does get the spike and we keep it going. Vape is one that I need to go look at, guys, as this is going to open up in just a second here. All right, guys. And on vape, what do we need to do? We need to make sure that we at least get protection on. So we got about 15 shares. We got to make sure that we get out if needed, right? So we'll see what happens here. Might place a stop towards like $60. So at least we're above our level, not going to lose. And then we can just let this work. Small caps, how are those doing? There should be some that are moving also, not just vape. So we got to continue to look to see if there's other names that start to get hot. ENTX, not looking too bad. NVNI, and then you're naming Nage. All right, there's the open, guys. There we're opened up there on this vape here, and it's going right back to 70s. We're looking really good here, guys. I want to almost pay myself through 70s, so I'm going to pay myself some through 70s. I know that sounds dumb, but I mean, I'm up over $150 on 15 shares. It's absolute insanity. But let's just place the stop here as this rips higher and just try to let it work there. There's $200, guys. So it's crazy here, but I mean, guys, this is ripping. All right, let's just pay ourselves a little bit here. 7 measly shares. Oh, it got right back below the 70. I'm looking for above 70s here. I'm on the offer at 71 to sell some of it. Only 7 shares, but there it is. Boom. Just got some out there, guys. Had to take some cash there. Now can let this continue to work, guys. Look at this trade. It is absolute insanity on this trade, guys. Vapey vape, guys. Got in. Got some profits. It came back. Got right back in. Stopped out, right back in there, guys. Now making the money again. That's how it is with these smaller names. And look at it push. You guys can see my stops there. I just took some cash. If it comes back, it's all good. Here comes the stop out on the downside. It's probably going to down hold, so we got to be a little bit careful here. I'm going to put the stop a little bit closer up to make sure that we're cashing if it reopens up here. But there it is, guys. I can just let the rest of the trade work. Really good trade there on vape. NVNI. This one looks good for a penny stock, right? This one could make a move to $1. Doesn't look bad at all here. The setup is really nice, actually, to tell you the truth, guys. We'll see what happens on this name. XLE, not looking like it's holding on here, guys. I'm going to go ahead and set a low on that recent action. If it breaks that, I want out. That's $133 in the red. I'm up 200 on the day, even though I lost a couple on that vape, but made some money also, right? Lost on vape, made some money on vape. Lost some on XLE, lost some on vape twice. Still really good gains on the upside and still in the green with small shares. So let's go. All right, watching to see the SPY. The SPY's looking like it's going to break out again. If that happens, well, then we can just continue riding this up wave. If the SPY wants to continue strong and the Qs want to continue strong, then, hey, we get out of our VIX trade, we take the hit, and we move on. I think right here is going to be very telling. So right now, I think it's very telling here to see what happens. I might get out of that vape on the last little cash there, but I will take that. Proud. UVIX now starting to get in the green. That's actually a good sign there. And since I took some cash on that vape, I should be able to open up a little bit more here. So I will open up more if we start to break above 64.54s. All right, looking good there. Let's see if we can really start to make a move here. Need more buying power. Más dinero. Check out Macy's, says Chase. Mitch, do you prefer TSLL over Tesla stock? I only care about that because I only have 50,000 in buying power, right? So that's what matters. So if I'm day trading it and I want to ride that momentum, I say TSLL makes sense. On a swing trade, though, I actually like the price action of Tesla more. So the leverage names I think are more for your day trade, and then the stock symbol itself for me is better for the swing trade. But of course, Shah, you can call your own shots on that. I'll just give you at least what I prefer, like your question was preference there, right? So in my eyes, I think that's what you stick to, right? All right, vape now starting to try to get through there. Oh, it's gonna halt right before my stop. Look at that, guys. This is how it does it to you. Oh man, can you believe this, guys? I had the stop right there and it halted right before my stop. So what's going to happen is no matter where this opens up, it's probably going to open up slightly below and just tick me out. That is a little bit concerning because it could dip pretty far. But just to show you, I'm fully transparent, guys. Most people would not show you things like this, right? That's where it's different here on Trade to Pool. You get it all from Money Mitch. I don't think there's a single trader that's more transparent out there than Money Mitch, but you guys tell me, right? All right, let's take a look there. Macy's. How is Macy's doing? Look at that stock going higher. Retail names pushing strong. What about A&F? How's that name doing? Did we get to the 105 yet? Ooh, almost there, guys. I've been waiting for this to get back to that earnings gap. We'll see if we get up there. How are the other stocks doing? Working well for me, guys. This is really breaking down and continuing to break down. So I'm just riding this swing trade, guys. This breaks 10. We could really go down. The key, the market needs to go down too. So that's why I'm still in these types of trades. You guys can see on the left-hand side here, the swing trades, $54 up on that UUU. But let's see if this can really start to break down back to 10. It's made it down here about 2 or 3 times. So at this point, we could put a stop loss and make sure that we cash in if it comes back towards our level. But that would be right at 10.11. And we'd be too close. We'd be right here. So we either take the $40 or we go stop loss break even here. We're going to go stop loss break even. It's either going to break down through 10 or come back and get us break even on that UUU. Got to be willing to break it and then get back in. That's just the way the market works, guys. We'll see if the SPY does a takedown move here. Something tells me that we could get it. So I'm still staying to this VIX trade that you see here. So what I'll do on that VIX trade is I'm actually going to downsize a little bit here, just in case I get a little bit of to wash and then the move, right? So there's a little bit of a spike there right near my entrance here. I'm going to downsize here and look to upsize back through 41.55. So trading a core position, downsizing here to make sure that I don't get caught too much on the downside here too early. Now let the SPY tell me what's going to happen, right? Now I'm letting the market tell me versus me try to guess too much here. We'll see if we get this to start working here. The SPY looking like it's starting to trickle down there. That could still help my oil trade out, man. I'm trying to get this oil trade to hang in there. It looks good if it starts to come right back up. So hanging in on this oil trade, trying to let it keep grinding up. It does have a nice trend line to go off of. See what happens in this XLE trade. You can see the kind of the 30-minute, how it could come right back up here into this spot. The breakout right back above would be looking really good here. We'll see if we get it there. 9 EMA still holding in there for the XLE. SPY still hanging in there. We can take a look at big boys like Microsoft, Meta that was doing strong, NVIDIA that was doing strong. They're starting to get a little bit stronger. NVIDIA, at least. AMD's on the pullback. So just keep your eyes on it, guys. This is the big moment, I feel like, and we got to continue to watch to see the action. Also with Tesla, I can see the levels better. TSLL, I think it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, it's like a conversation of like more long, how do you like the overnight price action on them? For me, the overnight price action on the leverage names is not as good as it is for just trading the actual ticker. Lot of negative stocks out there, strong stocks. Remember Palantir, I was trying to short at VWAP. I just got cut out of that one, and now it's down to 158. So it looked like a short. I just went for the leverage name and got caught there on PTLU right here at this 83 spot. Would be up about $1 on this name, PLTU, on the downside. Showing you more and more momentum is breaking today. Watch out, traders. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. We'll see what happens. Looking around to see what happens here, but definitely we'll see what happens there. Trump out there talking about, said that the baseline tariff rate for the world will be in the range of 15 to 20%, probably one of those two numbers. I love it. All right, we'll see what happens on that. Definitely something to continue watching out there, and let's keep it going. All right, looking around out there, the market's kind of just hanging in here, a little bit of a lull. Let's see what happens. Do we get some pickup there? Out of vape there, guys. Out of vape for a win. And it is looking like it's trying to come right back up here. So I might take another shot in vape here. Let's do it here. I'll take a little bit. Let's risk some of the money we've made here. Taking another shot here. I'm going to risk about $70 off the 63.81s here. Right back into vape. Taking the shot right back in. Got out on that open of that halt, looking for it to get right back up and maybe make another up halt. So let's see what happens here. Taking shots all around, guys. Right back into vape. Let's have some fun. Let's trade vape. Let's make some money. There's the spread trying to grab people really quickly there, but it is trading on the offer towards 68. So let's see what happens here. Might get cut out there. The spread is going wider. Got to be careful here. Remember, we've played it well 2 or 3 times. So now I'm setting the stop there. It got a little close to dangerous there. So now I have about $80 of risk here, looking for it to rip higher. But if it doesn't rip higher, willing to get out there. You got to be able to get out sometimes. I'm showing you it all right here on vape. But now the SPY going down, that's really good news for me, as we'll look to see if the VIX can get the spike on the swing trade. All right, we'll see if the SPY can really come down there. Now the UVIX looks better. I just got cut out there on the vape. Now vape could be coming down. I'm done with vape on that one. So you play your hot. I was hot on vape, and I just lost, right? I'm still in the green, but I lost. So at this point, I'm going to leave that one alone. We'll leave that one alone. Now we'll let that one go. Now I'm looking to see if the SPY is really going to break down here and the XLE is going to go into the green. So I'll look for the XLE to get green. I'll look for this UVIX trade to get green. Just need to see it start spiking above 1650s to maybe get some add on that UVIX. The XLE trade is a little bit big. It's causing like, what it's causing me is not the ability to add in that UVIX trade. So might have to take some of this off to add some of that UVIX trade, because the UVIX could move faster than the XLE. But that's just the mentality that I'm thinking about right now. Need to see this XLE start to take off here and the SPY really dip down, the big spike here, if these trades are going to work out. UUU, though, went up there towards about $70. It tried to break the 10. Now really need to see this start to break the 10 and show me that breakdown. So you see this one heading towards the $10, looking for it to break the 10 now and really start to cut down here. SPY is going to be the important one here. SPY tried to break down there, started to come down there, stopped for a second here. Now let's see if it really starts going into a leak and starts to cut this trend line. All right, XLE not doing the best here. Definitely not going to push it too much. Don't want to risk myself going into the red, but that's where I'm holding in right now. It's where I have my biggest size positioned in. And of course, this was on the playbook. So sometimes I try to stick to my conviction in the pre-market. Chase, talking about bull. We can take a look at that one. What do you guys got? What do you guys like out there? Let me know. Vape, we'll see if that one gets up again and just keeps going. I played it multiple times. I had some fun with Vape, made some money, learned some lessons. That is what it's all about, guys. Not seeing many bounces out there. I'm seeing still a lot of flushing. Remember, I talked about Ethereum to the downside potentially today. What a trade that would have been. That has really broken down from the 125 breakdown back towards 121. Really good trade there if you're able to trade that Ethereum to the downside. Tempest washing out today. MSTR washing out today. So another name that's getting hit. IonQ bouncing a little bit, but still washing a little bit. Even SOFI on the washout, guys. So it's a tough day today, at least for momentum traders. All right, we're going to look to see some pickup now. So I want to see the SPY really start coming down here. If not, going to get rid of my VIX position because the SPY is starting to come back here. Just got to watch out. It's still a little choppy here. All right, guys, got to hang in here, guys. It's 10:40. We're going to be wrapping up in just a little bit here. Might wrap up a little early because I got to get to a meeting, but let's keep it going, guys. We'll see what happens out there. Viva Systems doesn't look too bad there. Just waiting for the market to make its decision here if it really wants to break down or not. Seeing a lot of positioning, and I talked about how a lot of people were going to maybe be playing in some of that VIX, and I'm seeing it right now. All right, guys, just looking to see if this price action can continue, because if it could, we have a really nice day set up for both trades, right? So if we're going to have a big green day, it's going to be because the SPY comes down. If we're going to have a break even kind of day, that's going to be because the SPY goes up. And that's okay too, right? Sometimes it's as simple as that. We have either a really good day or kind of a more break even day. Vape flying again. Yeah, Jason, it is. But I'm not touching it now. Now it's dead to me. Now it's on the sideline. And now I don't even want to look at it, Jason. But you can make the money, right? I played it a couple of times. I could keep playing the game, but it's tough. There's the spike out there, the 72, 54s, and could keep going. It definitely could. So it's not like I can't. I'm not saying it's not going to get back towards 150 because it definitely could. I played it a couple of times. I had some fun. Maybe you need to be able to take these with even smaller size and just keep pushing. But hey, it is what it is. It's dead to me now, but hey, that's just the way it is, right? I played it, made some money, right? It definitely could keep going, and there's no wrong decision there. But it just got tough there. And I one of the things that I believe in is play when you're hot. It's called trading in the zone by Mark Douglas, right? When we're hot, we keep trading. We keep taking shots. Then you're going to run into that trade that tells you humble down. That's what that trade was. And if I don't humble myself, well, the market will do it. I'll tell you that. The market has a tendency of humbling you faster than you know it, man. All right. Well, so we'll see what happens here. SPY still kind of just trying to chop, but now starting to make a little bit of a hold here. So it could start to climb back here. We'll see. I think it's just kind of one of those days where it's just in this kind of consolidation here. So even though it's coming up here, we got to wait to see what happens if it gets above the 638s. You went down there towards 1003. Didn't want to break the support, so got to be careful for a little bit of a comeback move there. But it is trying to still break it down. Just can't do it so far. We'll see what happens out there. Looking around at the stocks, let's start taking a look at if there's anything actually trending in the last like 5 to 10 minutes. Let's do a 10-minute outlook and what's doing well in a 10-minute outlook. Some bounces in the weaker names like NNE, SMR, QBTS. So you are seeing bounce in the market. That you definitely are seeing it. Now the question is, will the bounce hold or will it come into another fade? Those are the things you want to be looking at. There's some names that really faded back. Oof, it was a tough day for certain names. I talked about Mara coming into earnings, how it could be a little bit of a sell the news. Do you use the TC 2000 with the TTT app? Yeah, so the way I do it, Fernando, is that, so you see my TC 2000 right here. It clearly states it right there. And then I have a execution screen below it, right? So if you're seeing me look down here, that's me looking at my execution screen. Who else shows you this, right? Who else gives you this? I'll give it to you. I use my execution through the trade to pool, but I'm also, of course, using the charting preference that I have to really look into the market right above me. So a combo of tools is really the way to go about it. But I'll tell you what, look who's out there. Knock, knock, knock. Don't say his name twice because boom, he shows up there. Michael Noss back in the house. What's going on, man?
I'm back.
Yeah. I started hearing my voice too much. So yeah, I did. I did miss you.
Well, it looks like I didn't miss much there on the market. We still have.
I was vaping out, man. I was vaping out here. I don't know if you can hear me, but I went in and out. I made two, I would say two really good trades. There was one trade that came back break even when I was up like $100. So that one, and it's kind of a break even, but it's a good learning lesson, right? Like the only way to trade these and get better at them is to trade them small.
Yep.
And learn from your execution style in them, right? Or develop a system that could trade them, right? But it's difficult. And now it's ripping higher, right? What I did was I rode my hot streak, Michael, and then when I took the loss, I said, okay, stop. Stop. Don't get too pretty with it now.
Yep.
Because that's how it can be, right?
That makes perfect sense, right? You gotta make hay while the sun shines in these crazy ones, but you can get chopped up, you can get emotional, you can get all this kind of stuff. So
Michael, if it would have just been the undercut of the support, $50, right? Maybe we're able to ride this with a systematic trade, right? There's ways of doing it, guys. Just find the way, right?
Right. I was kind of hinting before I went, but while I was
see what happens
bopping around with meetings, I actually wrote the indicator, so I can actually show the indicator here.
And here, I'll put you up, my friend.
We're only on the very beginning of testing, but you can see what it's doing is it's marking the pre-market low right here. So that's this kind of orange line, and I put on the 830 low, and we'll test that, see what ends up being best. So there's your 830 low, and then it has VWAP up here as well. So it's looking for stocks to undercut that 830 low and then trade back through VWAP. So PLTR would be a perfect example here where, right, it traded through that low and then came back through VWAP. So that would be your potential trigger there. So we're going to start testing this, and I've got $10, I think, risk assigned to it to get started and see where that goes from there. And if it ends up working great, then you start to size up the risk, you start to kind of push that out. But the beauty of it is because building these indicators already in, I'm learning more about how to do this with signal stack and automate with trade the pool. So give us another week and you'll be doing the same. You can see I kind of put a couple of these in here to see how it goes. It will either do the high if it overcuts the high and then comes back down, or it undercuts the low and then comes back up. So that like Nike would have been a perfect example right here, right? That bleed through that kind of pre-market support and then back up above. So again, the beauty of this is eventually, once you have it right, the art will be in picking the stocks. It will no longer be in actually putting the button when to buy and when to sell and all this kind of stuff. It will just be, if I'm going to pick the stocks that this particular setup I think is going to work the best on, and you make a list. You make a list in the morning and all throughout the day, and just wait for the robot to trade them for you. Super exciting.
It's not a bad way of looking at things. Market's still looking a little heavy for me, man, but it's just hanging in there. So we'll see.
Yeah,
You know
just
what I mean?
nothing.
It's just,
Not a thing.
it's almost like they didn't tell us we could take the day off, but we probably could have.
And you know,
It's one of
we
those
talked about
ones.
this in the beginning. I think this is, you know, perfectly normal. Right? We have so much going on tomorrow, and really the rest of the week's going to be absolutely hopping. So when you have that going on, you have a whole week of craziness. Yeah, I think it's perfectly acceptable, fine, normal that, you know, the market just wants to be a little sleepy today. It wants to take a rest before its big week.
Well, my big bet on the day is XLE. I'm still in it, still hanging out in there. Got 500 shares, 88.01. Looking for this to break out higher. How do you look at that chart now that you've been looking at this chart since the morning? How are you seeing XLE?
To be honest, I liked it better when it was going to break. So if it does end up doing something and get through this 89, I think that would be great.
That's your
But
sign, right?
obviously,
Yeah,
a
breakout
long way
through
to go.
89, right? Would be
We
a
got this
really
double
nice sign.
top here at 88, but if it can dig in, you know, VWAP is the whole thing. But you know, we need the market to do something in order to take directional bets. I've got 7 trades on, and by now I'd usually do like 20 or 30, but 6 trades on right now, up a little bit of money, just again, but all these are kind of revision to the mean type things. So long DYN from kind of right in this area, short COUR. That one's working out. That's the best one by far. Short RZLT, whatever this thing is. So, and if you look at these are all just shorting stuff that's overextended and then buying stocks as they're dipping. DYN. Yeah, come on, DYN. There we go. Right, buying strong stocks that are dipping, shorting stocks that are bullish, but maybe a little bit overextended. Just trading that kind of market maker game, both long and short, to see what's happening. The only trend trade or momentum trade that actually came through is short Google. Here. So tried to look at this kind of support area and see if it was going to break down that. So yeah, just it's a lot of, and this is what I want the bot to do, is because as we know, most days, I think it's 75% of days during the day in the market is range bound, and then you trend 25-ish% of the time. So on those 75% of days, I want these, you know, buy support, sell resistance kind of strategies, overbought, oversold things to work. And then on the 25% of days, I hope these momentum trades carry me. But yeah, so far it's been a nothing burger for my account, just like it's been a nothing burger for the overall market.
Well, we'll see what happens. I can definitely see some more protection being bought up in those VIX. So that's one thing I can see clearly. I don't know if the volatility is showing up there, but I keep seeing volume jump in there. And on different VIX vehicles here. Here's a SPY finally going with a little bit of a crack towards the bottom trend line, 67.50s right now as it hits the bottom trend line. Let's see if it actually can flush down here.
Yeah, maybe. I don't, you know, I said this in the morning too. I don't trust any of the rallies. I don't trust any of the sell-offs. I don't trust any of them. Right. I just want to, you know,
it's a tough trade right now, because I think it makes sense though, buy down though today. Like you said, like we talked about earlier, they love to scare the bulls before they can actually rip them. So
yeah, very well could be. It's just, it's so kind of,
you know, give them a lull
indecisive.
for a day
Look
or
at this.
two and then come to the big boys and rip it higher.
Well,
You
and
know what
we've
I
been doing
mean?
this kind of like we saw here on what
Yeah.
Thursday, where we had nothing and then we had a rip and then we had nothing. And with so much economic stuff, right? This is
I-
one of those rare
yeah.
times I'm kind of actually nervous holding so many swings, is because there's just so much.
A
It
lot.
starts at what
It's
it
a
starts
lot, man. It's a lot. We could
7:30,
go through
8:30.
it, but it's a lot that's gonna come through this week. And to add on top of that, FOMC, to add on top of that, big cap tech.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
this is, you're
it's
right.
a
Just
turning type of week, or it could just go to the upside. I think we just got a rug pull on Michael, but yeah, Michael, the computer tried to take you out, man. You were talking too good there. He'll be back, guys. I don't know what happened. Maybe he hit the X button, but hey, we'll see what happens, guys. It's interesting for sure. There he is. There he is. The good old rug pull. They tried to shut you down. You were saying too good stuff, man.
I was, oh, there's the error. Chrome quit unexpectedly. Oh, that's good.
Oh, good old Chrome. We might have to try that Perplexity browser. Have you tried that?
I'm on the wait list. I'm on the wait list. That's
Yeah,
I watched a buddy of mine. He was having it like analyze charts for him, and
it's
it,
interesting. I think it's something definitely to try to get. It's interesting.
it's
Spy
yeah.
coming
You can
down
either,
here now.
you can pay their $200 a month if you want to get it right now, but other than that, you just pop on their wait list and
Hey, feeling a lot better
give it a
about my
shot.
bets
But
here, guys. With the SPY doing what it's doing right now, dragging all day, I'm still seeing those euphoria names starting to come down, like Palantir. So let's see if those can break down the support. You see, I went down right off the support right there, the 158. If it comes back, yeah, through VWAP, you can look at it. That's why I looked at Palantir like a short early today. And a lot of these momentum names breaking down. So watch out there, guys, like QBTS, right? This daily chart looked great. Now it doesn't look so great, right? A lot of rejections near the top from $20. I think we're starting to see at least momentum names come back a little bit here. You might see some profit taking in these areas, but this could also be a kind of a little bit of a warning sign, at least to just show you that, hey, they're starting to shake up the tree a little bit.
yeah, and it could be one of those, we're going to undercut today's low and then rip through today's high and then rip. So, there's two ways to have a choppy go nowhere market. There's,
Oh,
what we're seeing so far, which is absolutely no action. And
quick
then
reversal there.
there's the big one where we have a big pop and a big drop and a big pop and a big drop. So, yeah, very
A lot of size triggering in there on the VIX, the VXX though. Just to give you guys
mhm.
insight, that tells me some players are doing something here. Like volume just jumped from about 24,000 shares to 113,000, right? So big flip on the volume there. I think this is a big move to watch here, right? In the next like 5 minutes, what's going to play out? If let's put it this way, if I had my stop, I would have got triggered, and that's something telling me. Of course, you saw me downsize on the core position in the VXX, and that's what's kept me in it. If I didn't
Yeah.
downsize there, I would have got out on this stop, right? So now I'm just looking at the SPY, see what reacts there. Is it another down move continuation, or is it a reversal off this little sideways pattern? You see how it's sideways right here. What happens out of this pattern right here? That's what I'm going to be watching here. You're also seeing volume increase into the move there, telling you the same thing that I'm seeing in the VIX. There it
Well,
is. Downside, at least push off the start of this. Let's see what happens.
and it would
More
make sense
volume.
for an inflated VIX today. Like we talked about, tomorrow, we know tomorrow morning is going to be volatile, right? There's just, I'm
Yep.
not, you can't predict much in the market, but with like 5, 6 economic reports out before the open, it's going to be a volatile open. And what
Mhm.
does the VIX do? The VIX essentially just prices in how many people are buying puts. So if I'm a giant portfolio manager and I'm looking tomorrow before the market opens, there's going to be a whole bunch
Oh,
of reports out. I'm buying some protection, right? Buy some VIX.
there you guys have it.
Yeah, Tesla ripping.
Sometimes I can be on, man. I feel like I was really on that Tesla call. And sometimes it's more about a matter of like if I just stayed with that one call, I think I would be just cashing, right? And so sometimes it's like that, guys. If you have a really good high conviction, sometimes not paying attention to all the conversations in the market can really help you. I felt like Tesla was one of those names. I just didn't want to, completely drive the market, but there's a reason why it's in the title. And I think that these are names that you could really trade right now. SoFi is an interesting one. I think it's really breaking some of that momentum. It was trying. Look at that head and shoulders pattern here now on the daily, right? You can see that head, the left shoulder, right shoulder, right? And then for these patterns, it's all about the neckline. That's the only thing that matters. So you'd have to draw kind of a trend line neckline from here. So you can draw it like this if you were drawing it, right? It's never exact, and that's why I hate inverse head and shoulder patterns or shoulder patterns overall to trade off of, but it's a good sign to show you that momentum is breaking in some of these names.
Yeah, they're gonna pull back before all this stuff comes out, and I think, like I heard you mention when I was in the green room way early in the morning, is that most most of these companies are beating earnings. So
Yeah.
right, it could be one of those
I
dip
think it
them
was
and rip them once earnings come
88%
in.
from FactSet. So
Which, as we know, the market goes up when earnings grow,
yep.
and earnings appear to be growing. So
Yeah. And those are all signs. I mean, looking down the line, I think we're definitely in a gas pedal type of market. The only thing is, when does it break, right? When does it hit the brake pedal, right? And I think those are all things to just be, you just got to think about it here.
as
All
I
right.
always say, if you can't survive the bull market, you'll never survive the bear. So if you're not making money right now, you really got to look at what you're doing, right? Because this is one of
Yeah.
those, this is the whole don't confuse brains for a bull. Well, you're going to start hearing random people like quitting their jobs just to like swing trade and stuff. Like it's the easiest market in the world right now because it's just going up every day. So, uh, if you're not able to do that, when and if it fails, I think you're in trouble, right? Because
Yeah.
make hay while the sun shines.
Well, we'll see what happens here, guys. I'm now setting stops. It's 11 a.m. I gotta hit the road here, guys. We gotta hit the road. We got a meeting. But what I'm doing here is setting a stop in the green, right? So I have a stop about $73 of XLE. I have a UVIC stop about $20. So add that together, it's about $90, right? I'm up about 137. So worst comes to worst, I am in the green. If things go right for me, I have a hell of a day, right? And that's what you can do sometimes. I feel like traders sometimes you get into these spots, and then instead of just being consistent, setting for consistency, you start trying to take swings right here. I think with the way the market's going, there's no real trend to the downside. It's just like leak, leak, stop, leak, stop. So I'm just going to set a bet that if it does go in that leak, I make a lot of money. If it doesn't, I still leave here with a win.
Absolutely.
All right, that's going to do it, at least from my outlook. Any last words for the traders out there, Michael?
I don't think today's the day to really be going crazy. I think what you're doing, where you're just setting a couple bets and giving them a lot of room, that's the move, right?
Yeah,
Let the
especially in this
market do
market.
something, because it's just not doing anything right now.
Be careful out there, traders. We'll see what happens if the SPY really does make that move or not. I think you just got to be careful out there and wait to see what happens here. And remember, this is a big week. There's going to be swings both sides. Fear is not what should drive you. What should drive you is your systems and the way you take risk and return.
Yep.
That would be my last tip. Get out of here, guys. Be safe. Tomorrow we start at 9 a.m. after my Trader TV interview. Hit the like button. I'll see you guys back tomorrow.